ship out.
Live from the apocalypse, testing #1 amongst podcasts with white people who drink from Wakanda forever. Water coolers, water jugs.
Damn.
Yeah, we test positive. We are #1. Yeah, if you're drinking from with your Wakanda forever travel water bottle. Thank you.
What about what about Avatar cups? Because I was just at the movies last night and they got the Avatar glow in the dark joint too. What about those?
We are #6 in podcasts in Bulgaria amongst women who sleep in Avatar snuggies. So we're quiet. Right. Bulgaria, we love you. So thank you. My name is Dano, and it's an incredible life. It's an incredible life to lead. I was accidentally on Super Duty Tough Work this week.
Hey.
Episode 300. I got to just geek out and just rant at them about how great they are. So that was cool.
Shout out to Blueprint.
Logic. I love what they do. So that was real cool. Yeah. So and it was cool. He said he remembered my email that I sent him, so that was nice. I was looking for the crossover episode. Okay. My companion through this journey, every week, the Eric Spolstra, to this franchise we're talking about. Hey, Diggy, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Wrapping the year up. It's been an incredible year. And we're lucky to have a guest host, not just an eloquent writer, not just someone who gives gifts to the keyboard whenever it pulls up. We're talking about somebody who has, taste to be trusted.
Damn.
We're talking about an ear, a golden ear. We're talking about Dylan Green. Thank you for being back to do this top 25.
Yo, thank y'all for having me. I'm so embarrassed. That's so nice. Damn, I just be talking into the void, bro, and people listen. I appreciate it.
And this is one of the reasons I feel like I have started. We've started to make some waves here. Okay, is because I don't really get embarrassed anymore.
No, that's true. That's very true. Yes.
Very embarrassing. I've always been very embarrassing. And in the ways that people find the things that are embarrassing in normal situations charming in this space. So this goes over, this version of me goes over much better in this Zoom room than at the PTA meeting or whatever.
Man,
first day.
I feel you. I don't get embarrassed very easily. I just sometimes I have a hard time taking compliments. I appreciate being here for real. Being anywhere is a blessing. I don't know why I sound like a pastor, but yeah, thank y'all. I'm happy to be here.
Letting go of that shit, Kay. I've always told you, I'm a special ed kid. I remember the 80s sneaking into the special ed room.
You snuck into it.
Yo, you had to sneak in. You don't want everybody to see you go into the special ed room.
Oh! I thought I meant
in the 80s.
Okay, you were assigned there, but I thought you were snuck into those classes just to
snuck into the special ed room, so nobody would see me. But that's and then you just remember those days and think,
absolutely
nice. This is nice. Yeah, but I appreciate this is an incredible year in music. I was listening to the Rhymes Like Dimes podcast year end, and one of the hosts, not Yemi, shout out to Yemi, love Yemi. One of the hosts gave their album of the year, #1 album of the year, and they were like Black Star. And I almost spit out my water, Dylan. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
And it's not, I don't hate that album. I don't hate it. Either. But because I don't think it's that important.
Ooh.
There's lots of you could hate, like, oh, so let me give you my pick for my least favorite album of the year, my most disappointing album, whatever, right? Hit you with that. Because we get too positive, people will start calling us names. What are we doing? Did they take it down? Was it so it's the Yeah Yeah Yeahs album.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a what is that? It was Cool It Down. Cool It Down 2022. Had a great lead single with Perfume Genius. I was very excited to have one of my very favorite bands back. And they came back minus all the spirit that made them so great.
Damn, that's cold. Because I love Karen O. I love all her solo work.
I love Karen O too.
That's cold.
But part of what made the Yeah Yeah Yeahs so great to me was they had like a sweaty, yelly Stooges energy to their performances, right? Like they were, and I've heard some people be critical of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and be like, those songs, those lyrics aren't great. Like, that Karen O is a monster lead vocalist, someone with incredible charisma and presence. And they kind of watered down the sound to fit what was going on, and it just didn't work. I didn't like it, and that was one of my biggest letdowns.
Yeah, I haven't checked this, so I don't really know. I didn't feel compelled, not this time.
You covered one of my favorite letdowns, by the way, the Big Crit album.
Man. Oh man. Oh, hang on one second. Sorry. What's it called?
What was
man, it was called Digital Roses Don't Die.
Oof. Yes.
It was he tried to I spent so long talking to a friend about it. My man Caleb, shout out to Caleb. We were he kind of put it into better words than I could have, and I wound up using those words, or not those words exactly, but like that idea in part of the review. It was like Crit tried to make his version of Outkast Stankonia a little bit, but like it's like Stankonia, but if it was trying to be like an Isley Brothers tribute album, it wasn't. It didn't really hit at all. It's just like not his lane. Like it was just kind of I dead forgot it happened until I like read my review again, and then went to go listen to a song or two and was like, yeah, there's a couple cool songs on here, but
yeah, there really is.
Yeah, he's got enough goodwill for me. Like he'll come back around and make something cool. I don't think he's like washed or nothing. I just didn't really do it for me.
It's weird, Kay. Sometimes I'd rather have an album of all bad songs than like one or two great songs on a bad album. Because that was the roadmap. Like, just go that way, Yeah, it can be tough. Kay, what did you have for disappointments?
Disappointments. Gosh, and I think Drake's stuff was a disappointment. I thought her loss would be better. What I'll say, it kind of tied into your point about you'd rather just have an album full of bad songs, and then have an album of bad songs and then one really good song. That's what I think of. Never mind.
Honestly, never mind. Yeah.
Honestly, never mind. There we go. That's case in point. I mean that was the biggest disappointment for me.
Yeah. And that I will always, Dylan, associate Honestly Nevermind with one of my least favorite pockets of 2022, which was this pocket where everyone was releasing their house album.
Yeah. I was fucking with it, I'm not gonna lie.
I got really stressed out. I was just like, oh, I've always been an expert in house. I know you know me for folk music, but I've always been a house expert secretly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, I don't like this at all.
Mhm.
Um,
And you know what? We're about to get like the best one, because I know a lot of people really jacked the Beyonce album. I thought it was cool. It's not my
Yes.
favorite thing I heard this year, not by a
Yes.
long shot. She's great. Shout out to Beyonce. It's not bad in any way.
Right.
But I'm ready for that Kalela album, bro. That new Kalela album,
oh yeah,
that new Kalela album is about to send me to the moon, son. I'm so excited.
yep.
I've been waiting for the front line. I've been waiting for the Take Me Apart follow up. I'm so
Eyes
ready.
on that. Eyes on that. No,
Okay.
no doubt.
I'm
No,
geeked. I can't wait.
yeah. No, that's serious. There's people you can trust with this music, and there's people you can't. And it was weird because the person who I've always gone to for R&B affected directly by dance music was Dawn Richard.
Don Rich, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Shout out to Dawn.
But Dawn released this very strange kind of movie score thing that I didn't really understand this year, and it was kind of took the year off from that sound while everybody was doing it, which was interesting. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
still the person for me in that regard. But
I saw her at Pitchfork Fest, and I interviewed her for Pitchfork Fest actually, and she's a sweetheart and she makes incredible music. I haven't heard the new album, funny enough, but the last thing she put out was amazing.
yeah,
I'm already forgetting what it's called, but it's got like the alien character that she
Yes.
made on it, and I'm like mad that I can't remember what it's called, because if she hears this, I'm gonna be embarrassed. Second Line. Okay, it was
second
Second Line.
line. Yes, yes.
It was Second Line, because I knew there was a song on there called Second Line, but I couldn't remember if it was like the title. But yeah, no, Second Line was amazing. And she's dope. Shout out to Dawn. I don't know what else to say.
Well, it's
Absolutely.
great. No, I mean, yeah, but that was that pocket. Um, and it's been fun to watch all the lists get released because there's so many great albums that you can kind of paint your picture however you want, right? Like I felt
Right.
weird about having I was like, I'm putting Teddy Faley at 36. Are people gonna be like, who's Teddy Faley? And The Wire just named that their second best album of the year or something. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. So like it's I'm not alone whatever I do here, but there's some people where I just haven't heard a lot of people repping these albums, yeah, I'm gonna do what I do. So 25 to kick it off. 25. I love this album every time I hear it. It's one of those things where if I didn't put it on, I would be lying to you, right? About what got me through. Ivy Soul Candid.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's oh, some of those songs they'll stay in your head. Great singer, great rapper, and really meaningful features. That Topaz Jones
Mm-hmm.
through and smashes it. Was the Kingsley Ibeniche on Dangerous and the Ways. Um, it's Bamboo is perfect. Talk That Talk has one of, if not my favorite opening line of a song this year. You
Call
got
Me's great too. I love that song.
yep, Call Me is beautiful. Easy to Kill is a heck of an opener. It's a wonderful album, and it hasn't gotten a lot of coverage from my eyes from what I've seen, but whenever I recommend it to somebody and they listen to it, they like it. I've got no pushbacks on this album.
Yeah. Ivy's one of them ones, man. They're great. They're great. I saw them open for I almost said Travis Scott, for fucking Topaz Jones in New York,
Ooh,
like maybe like 2 months ago. It's
yeah,
quality musics, heat rock all around. They're great.
yeah. And like Ivy had an album before this called like Southpaw or something.
Yeah.
Southpaw, and it was really good. And I was actually waiting for this album to drop, and I was able to rep it on the Bandcamp Friday that it came out. And it's just when you know an album from the second it drops to the end of the year, you develop a relationship with it that's really special. The next one is these are definitely Dan's darlings from 25 to 20. 24 is Lord Queso More Chores, which I remember we did an episode about shout out to Fleetwood DeVille when Kendrick dropped. We did an episode. Kay was gone. Kay was converting people to Christianity who don't want to.
That's how
just joking. Old school missionary. But no, and Fleetwood subbed in, and Fleetwood wanted to talk about the Kendrick song about the relative. What one is that called, Kay?
Auntie Diaries. Yeah.
They wanted to talk about like the name checking and whether that's okay, and the way he handled it, right? And I brought More Chores to the table and said, "This is how it should be." Like, because Lord Queso develops the picture of his family history throughout the entire album, right? From the Caribbean roots to the relatives, the cousins, the street shit going on. He develops the whole world, but he does it with love. He does it with care. He does it with consideration. Queso came on here and was such a good listener, he started interviewing us. He's just interested in other people's perspective. And to contrast it with the Kendrick, I'm not trying to crap on the Kendrick, but to contrast it, the Kendrick album sounded to me like a guy who just got out of therapy and is yelling at me about it, and I'm like, you should have gone earlier. I know about therapy, it's but
yeah.
No,
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say that. I mean, that's an interesting angle. I've never thought of it from that angle.
Yeah, me either. But I love this Lord Queso album. It took me a really long time to get to it, and I feel terrible about that. Because like every time I would want to sit down and listen to it, I had something else to do. But I finally got to listen to it, and yeah, bro, he's so like people used to talk a lot about how like a lot of old rappers would like rap like they're having a conversation. And that's what Queso does, man. He's just like his flow is so conversational. It sounds like he's just like talking with you about some shit. And it's so easy, to just listen to what he has to say. And he's got a great voice, and just like he's just like so regular, bro. I love that about him. He's just so regular and down to earth and just like wise. And like he's just a good ass rapper. It's good shit. I fuck with this album.
If you notice, Kay, you can listen to a song like Murderation, right? Hell of a song. If you listen to Murderation, the more serious the topics get, the sillier his voice gets. He will totally contrast it directly and be like, where the lines where he's like, the kill each other shit is my least favorite other than the druggy shit. And he's like, but he's saying it in a silly, goofy voice. He always takes the air out of himself, but he's always giving you real shit, He's not fucking with you. And so we'll trust him. And Hajino. Shout out to Hajino. This to me was the best Hajino situation where everything just sounded beautiful. Hajino's very talented, and get in now, Anything else about Queso you want to say, Kay? Because that was a heck of an episode.
I just thought he was from what I remember, he was just a very humble man, young man. because he's young, right? He's only like 24, 25 or something, even younger.
Yeah, something like that.
And that humility, it's reflective in his music. That's what I gathered away from our interview. Just how humble, down to earth, grounded, just grounded he was.
Yep. And so number 23, one of Dan's pet artists here, who I've just ever since I think it's the 2019 album, I've been hardcore Stella Donnelly. I love Stella Donnelly. And she's from Perth, Australia. And she's very young. She released an album called Beware the Dogs in 2000 that just tore me to pieces. It was a beautiful album. It still is beautiful and her best. But this one is really dope. It's it's strange to compare to the SZA, but after you release like your shit that is the best shit, you can't just top it. You can't just step in and say, now I'm going to do a better one. Go to a different way. And Flood is different. But holy shit, it's lyrical. It's very lyrical. Folk pop. I was just tweeting today about how serious Underwater is. Even the hook and the bridge. Oh my god. Just a very serious song. And beautiful voice. Yeah. Oh My is another one. Some of these are just so heartfelt and emotional. This is an album, Kay, to sell it to you, when it's wet and dark outside and you just want to feel all your feelings. This is the one. This is the one.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Next time it's wet and dark outside, put this on and let yourself feel, you know? I had some of those albums here where I was like, this is my zone. I'm going to fully embrace this and gut myself, because those albums are tough to listen to sometimes, and you have to be in the right spot. So, number 22, shout out to Sean Kantrowitz, who came on here and in his recommendation corner recommended Pro, God, You're Beautiful. And I hadn't heard it, hadn't listened to it, pulled it up, liked the cover, and I went on a wild ride with this album all year. Dylan, did you listen to Pro this year?
I didn't finish this album, but what I heard of it, I really enjoyed. I like Pro is a name I'd heard around quite a bit, but had never like actually gotten to like tap in for real. But nah, man, I also fucked with the cover. He's got a great voice. I loved Lemon. Of the songs I heard, I think Lemon Sugar and Genie were my two favorites. This is something I want to spend more time with this album, but I enjoy what I heard. Shout out to Pro. He's reached out to me. Sorry, what happened?
Did you get to hear East End?
Wait a minute, hang on. I'm trying to East End. Oh yeah. I heard Up to Regret. I heard Up to Regret. Nah, he's dope. We've corresponded a few times. He's good people. I fuck with his older shit. I just didn't get the chance to like fully dive into this new one, but yeah, nah, he's dope. Pro is dope.
This one, K, is one of those albums that went the opposite direction of the dark, brooding underground sound, and it's kind of day glow, but it's still hard shit. Like it's still hard shit. Like, and I've said this before. Me and my son were just pulling up songs on YouTube that we liked and showing each other songs, and like he showed me one of the basic kind of pop Nick Yor songs or whatever. And then I showed him East End, the video, which is great. And he fell in love with the song and he started requesting it in the car. And so Pro's East End was a part of my year with my son. Like it was a part of that. But it was because it's fun, it's catchy. There's still hard shit in there. Like there's still like, I will kill these people if they mess with me. Like get that shit.
Type shit.
So it's Memphis. What are you gonna? I mean, it's not, you know. So
Player shit for sure.
But that just because it's Memphis doesn't mean it has to be black on black on black. You know, there can be colors, and Pro was not afraid of it. Yeah, don't compromise yourself, but you can switch color palettes. Number 21, I didn't know of a month ago. My buddy hit me up. I recommended the Namdi album to him. So you should check this out. And he recommended Special Interest Endure, which is number 21. And he said, this is my album of the year easily. And it is a house of fire, man. This is muscular. Yeah.
What kind of on this one I didn't get to at all, unfortunately. Well, what kind of shit is this?
It's from New Orleans, a collective from New Orleans. The tags on here are wild. You'll love this. Synth punk, no wave, anarcho glam, punk, alternative.
That sounds like some Shinobi. That sounds like some Shinobi ninja shit. I'm kind of into that. Yeah.
But huge songs, like very like because one of my problems with rock music is it's been a little muted, right? It's post the National, it's very muted and demure. And Special Interest is raucous. Kurdish radio, big, heavy, gritty sounds, but pulled through that world of dance music and house music. So like there's a Midnight Legend is the biggest song on here. It's hard to ignore, hard to walk away from, hard to not dance to. There's a remix video movie of it on YouTube with Mickey Blanco.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So this is the world that connects all those threads. Yeah.
That's fire. I'm not gonna lie. Like when it comes to rock these days, I'm definitely more into like gent and metal and like sludge metal in particular, because that stuff's not super muted. Even sludge metal and just like every offshoot of metal. Like I love like ambient metal, like that. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the name. I just learned about this group this year. It was something like Death Unyielding, but like they put out this really great like ambient metal album that I loved, that I've like just started really diving into. You know, stuff like that. Like I'm really into Deaf Heaven, if either of y'all are familiar with Deaf Heaven.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, Deaf Heaven's hard. I like Chelsea Wolfe a lot. Her music's fucking amazing. I've been hearing her do like scores now too, and that makes me really happy. But yeah, so I definitely agree that like rock in general, like outside of that stuff and like the Animals as Leaders album, that was one of my favorite albums of the year. I'm a huge Tosin Abasi Animals as Leaders fan. Shout out to him. But you know, he's being like all that's like so crisp and like loud and so like aggressive, and just like their drummer just like is like the fastest fucking kick drummer I've ever heard in my life. You know, and he you know, his shit sounds like cannon fire. It's really crazy. Anyway, I'm rambling, but shout out to yeah.
It's so I think there's like, you brought up a great point, Dylan, which is I think with metal, what is really cool is that you'll get like waves of hard ass guitar sounds.
Yeah.
That are overwhelming to you, right? So, and with punk, what you get are like punches. Punch is a hard-ass guitar that create their own kind of anti-rhythmic rhythm in a lot of ways.
I just realized, did either of y'all hear that Soul Glow album, Diaspora Problems, that came out?
No, I did not.
No.
Woo! Go listen to Diaspora Problems if we're talking about punk. Oh man, that Soul Glow album is so fucking wild. That's like I'm mad I didn't include it in a list or something, but like yeah, nah, they're an outfit out of Philly. It's like like they've arrived. Like this is I like outside of groups like Show Me the Body, I haven't really been jacking punk like that very much the last like 5-6 years, but Show Me the Body and Soul Glow got it, man. It's Diaspora Problems. It's fucking amazing. Go listen to Diaspora Problems. You know,
I love it. But yeah, so they were able to take the waves of like doom guitar for metal, the punch of punk, and add it with like the punch of electronic dance music, right? And make that into a stew. It's awesome. I think that's a really special album, and it's just fun as shit. Like I don't have you can just press play and it'll get you there. 20 is AJ Suede's Metatron's Cube.
Yeah.
Seattle's finest, bro.
Yeah.
It's important. AJ Suede is an MVP contender, a legitimately important individual. Me and Camo Bucket Hats broke down very specifically what we love about AJ Suede. That should be up in the feed by the time this comes out. Televangel, hell of a talent. This was really the first time I engaged with Televangel. But then he put out that album with Milk. That is unbelievable. I really enjoy that. I got a Neutral Milk Hotel. Neutral Milk Motel. Yeah, by Milk Televangel. And the beats on there are just filthy. Televangel's dope. More people should work with Televangel. At first, I couldn't figure out the mix of the album. I was like, this is strange sounding. I love it. It's the best Suede that the most complete Suede. Yeah. And hopefully step, to the top.
Yeah, he's dope. I don't have anything to add to that outside of the fact that he's someone I've been meaning to tap in with more, and I've been seeing him drop more, and this is worth it. I'm excited to see where he goes from here, for sure. Shout out to EJ. Shout out to Suede. Shout out to AJ Suede.
And the next one seems like maybe a bit. So let me wrap up that. Let me go back and reiterate that. So from 25 to 20, right? Ivy Soul Candid, Lord Queso More Chores, 23 Stella Donnelly, Flood, 22 God You're Beautiful, Pro, Special Interests Endure album, 21, Metatron's Cube by AJ Suede and Televangel, 20. Now, number 19, I'm seeing this not on a lot of people's lists, and this is another shake my head moment, because Namir Blade's Metropolis is fucking serious.
He goes crazy, man.
Serious album. Do you know what I would compare it to, Kay? Because before I had this platform, I used to just rant to Kay about this stuff. And Jadena's first album did not get a lot of critical love. It was a big bag of
The Chief. Was it The Chief?
Yes.
Yes.
Love the Chief. But when The Chief came out, it got low scores. And I was like, no. This isn't a complete album. This is the demo. This is us to understand how many things this person can do.
Right.
How many different directions they can go in. And so, yes, it's not telling you a condensed story. This is all the cool shit you have now that you didn't know you had. And that's Metropolis for me. I knew that he was a producer, that Namir Blade was a producer. I knew that Namir Blade was a rapper. I did not know all of this.
Yeah, he's hardcore, man. Like, his last album, Aphelion Circus, is like just as like he's just like he's the concept dude. Like he knows how to put a story together, and he knows how to make it like weird and intriguing and really good on the ear. He's just like concept albums are a really hard thing to pull off well and not make it seem like it's just OD. But like he's always been so good at that. And like I'm just happy that Metropolis came out as well as it did, because he just like, like between this and the album that he and Larange put out last year, Imaginary Everything, which is one of my favorite Larange collab projects to this day. Like that shit is like he's got the sauce, and not even just sauce. He's got the heft to be able to handle all that shit. So man, shout out to Namir, because like I didn't get to spend enough time with Metropolis this year, but I was like legit blown away listening to it the first time. So yeah, man, it's tight.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, and glad you mentioned Imaginary Everything with La Orange. I would say I like this considerably better than Imaginary Everything.
I feel you.
It's because Namir is a visionary, right? Like the way he does the beat flip just for G Slab's verse, and then flips it back into a lower tone and starts singing. The way he orchestrates this album is a new language. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't get it now, but the hits are going to keep coming, and this is an important person.
Yeah, very much ahead of his time in a lot of ways. I think the stuff that he's doing now, people are going to be picking up on in like 4 or 5 years. And that, like, I mean in like the practical, like using it sense, in the same way that like you remember when Vince Staples put out Big Fish Theory, and
Yeah.
like nobody got it, and like everybody was like, what the fuck are these beats? No, and why is he rapping? Like, and now all of a sudden, like there's a house movement happening right now.
Yeah,
Like that's like Vince was ahead of his time with that. Namir's ahead of his time with this. I think people are gonna be ripping stripping this for parts come sometime in the next couple of years. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Kay, talk to me about how impressive he was getting interviewed from the airport when we talked.
I appreciated his commitment. You know what I mean? It takes a special type of person to be able to focus and give logical, like cognizant answers in an airport, especially because he was waiting for his flight, which had been delayed, if I can remember correctly.
Yep.
And so he was just really a nice, and like I said, all this commotion was going on around him, and you could hear it as well. Yeah, he was still focused on us, and he was really thoughtful with his answers. And then the interview ended with him getting on the plane. So that was one of the more memorable shows that we've done this year. I loved it.
That's hard. I interviewed him and Larange on Real Notes back when they put out Imaginary Everything, and he was making like a grocery store run or something. And not as crazy as making your way through the airport, but he's very much like he's got a multi-track mind in that way, and that definitely applies to the music. You can tell that he's good at kind of delineating shit in that way, and not everybody could do that, man. So like he's special. He's special. Shout out to him.
He's ambitious too. Like and that's the other thing I remember, the way he was talking about his vision for his music was very ambitious.
Right.
No, well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, black kids should always dream like Namir Blade. The world is yours. Dream like that. Dream like that.
And the visionary is the tag I would use, because I would just say, Kay, there's a part of that interview that he gave that I will just never forget. Like, So we asked it because I was talking about how tracks 1 through like 8 on Metropolis are the most fun album in the history of mellow music. And after like 10 or so, it totally downshifts into more of a Blade Runner-y kind of feeling. And you asked him why. You were okay. It's like, why was it organized that way? And Namir's answer, he compared an album to a road trip. And he said, you're trying to listen to the right music at the right times in the road trip. So when you're done with the heavy traveling and you start to see where your turnoff is, you're downshifting. Because it's triumph music. You know,
I remember that.
You're finally looking at the city. You're finally looking at the stars. You're finally looking at the buildings. And you're finally accepting that you made it to your destination. And that he explained it all like more beautiful than that.
Yeah. I do remember that answer. You're right. That was like the sign. I was like, okay, like this guy's thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Shout out to Namir Blade. The number 19. Oh, sorry,
You
number
18.
That was number 19.
Nah. Yeah, you're good.
18. So there's a controversy in the front. Shout out to Rohan, Rap Music Plug podcast.
Yes, sir. Shout out to the man.
People are like, is this one album? Is this 2 albums? Rohan said, look at the back cover. There's one hand over here, one hand over there. You have thematic interlocking back covers. That means it's one album.
I don't know that I agree. I agree that they're complementary, and that, but like, I don't know that I consider Language Arts Woeful Studies to be one album. I would consider it to like only because like the songs don't really interlock together. Like not really, not to say that they have to, but I kind of just look at them as like two separate things I just look at them as like two separate albums that address the same thing, you know? Like they're definitely in conversation with each other, but more in the sense that like they're both going through the same things, but not directly talking to each other. Like how you have like a friend, like imagine if you're in class with like imagine you're in one class and your friend's in the other. You're both going through the same shit, but you're not talking about it until you get to lunch. Like that's what these two albums are, you know? Like that's how I see it. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not mad at the double album thing because I love a good double album, but you know,
yeah,
it didn't strike me as a double album to me.
I counted it as a double album. So it landed here. I am a Ka person. I love Ka, and we've had Ka number 1 before. This to me, this is not a bad Ka album. This is not my least favorite Ka. This is a very, very great series of songs. Cobra's amazing.
Yeah.
There's some really cool hooks on here. But I will forever think of this album as like the triple entendre wordsmith album. It's full of really eye-popping lines and flips and usages. It's very technical. It's right there for the people who are like, is he a bars guy? Yes. Boom.
Yeah. My man said you would think they were vegan the way they plant-based. That shit is so crazy, bro. Like, come on. That's like Absol take notes. Absol take notes.
Yeah. No, it's this is a highly technical, high level album, but weirdly enough, that's kind of not enough for Ka. Like, so Ka, there's a shared thread with Billy Woods in that sense that Ka is a great rapper, but and a great writer the way Woods is, but is connected to his emotions in a direct way. So the best Ka albums are full of songs. I don't know why I think of Old Justice, right? Descendants of Cain. Old Justice. I can't tell you exactly what that song's about, but it's sorrowful as fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
And then to like follow that up with I Love, the song about the song about his mom, his wife, and his mans who passed away.
Yeah.
He sounds like if he fucks that up, he's gonna just break down and start crying. Like that's one of the most emotional songs I've ever heard in my life. You know, like Ka is so great at that. You know, like he's just so good at he's so good at rapping shit that's so simple. You're like, why didn't I think of that? You know, like but like it's hard, but it's like so bass and so just like it. I don't know. Like he's just so good. He's one of my favorites like ever, and that's because he's so excellent at breaking down complex ideas into really simple language that just kind of like hits, you know. And like he does it with the parables, and I always loved him deciding to kind of take these mythologies and kind of like translate his life through those. And now he's doing it through the school system and showing like how a big thing I took from these two albums, one album, this series of songs, like Dan said, is like, you know, like Ka is like he's kind of shirked the idea of like being a teacher, and he's just kind of like, oh, I'm just telling my story. And now I kind of feel like he's accepted the fact that he's a griot for his era of Brooklyn, and he's just like he's here to show how cycles of trauma and abuse and other bullshit can persevere, and just like how to handle that, and potentially just like how to handle it, not how to fix it, because nobody has the answer for that. But like, you know, he just does such a good job of making that shit seem so clear. Ka's music is so clear and like edifying, and so like I come out of every Ka album understanding things about myself that I didn't get before. Yep. You know, like that you know, you listen to a song like Ascension, and like I reviewed those albums for Pitchfork, and Ascension to me, that reminded me a lot of Jay Electronica's Act One. It sounded like he was rapping over the John Bryan score to Eternal Sunshine, like, and I had never really heard Ka over something so lush before, you know, like just like the violins and the occasional like bolt of electric guitar is like, I kind of wish there was more of that, you know, like he really, you know, like both these, these two projects to me are so like, it's like the brightest music he's ever made, just in terms of like the sound quality and like the samples he's drawing from. Like it sounds like sunlight, even if it's not like saccharine, like colorful. You know, like it's not like saturated. It's just like it's like bleach dry sunlight. You know, like you're in the middle of the desert, and like your shit's just like melting on your face. You know, like you're being attacked almost. That's what these beats sound like to me, as because like everything else is like very dark and insular and like sticky, like tar type shit, and this is just, it's just like blindingly bright. You know, like it's kind of wild. Also, the song, the one of the songs with Chuck Strangers is one of my favorites of the year. The Animals produced one on Language Arts. Shout out to Animal, shout out to Chucky.
I will say I prefer Language Arts to Woeful.
I think I do too.
And I know
I do too. I agree.
Important people disagree, and I respect them. I would say but to your point, Dylan, Ka is best when he's dealing with trauma and creating his own ethics out of it. Right?
Yeah.
Mapping out what honor means. I think there's a point. I don't know if it's these albums or if it's another album, where he just says it's okay to call the police if your neighbor's a child.
Yeah, that's it was on that was on fucking A Martyr's Reward. I talked to somebody about that. It's not snitching if you're telling on a pedophile. That's the exact line. It's not snitching if you're telling on a pedophile. Like
if someone else said that, they could say it and it would be fine. But because Ka said it and the way he said it and the dignity in his delivery, it's him directly interacting with all of that, dipset cloud of silliness and being like, no, real ethics don't live in this place.
Yes. Right. I mean, his sense lyrically, and we've talked about this before, like his sense of spacing. So he's able to control the spacing around the phrasing, which really makes certain lines that he wants to hit hard for them to hit harder. He knows how to accent them using space.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And it's awesome that you think about how Rock, Marcy, and Ka kind of came in this together and changed the game. Yeah. They did it with negative space. A lot of it they did with negative space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like not to get too deep about it, but that's like jazz shit, It's always it's like that's our version of like it's about the notes they're not playing, like when people talk about jazz, like that's like the stereotypical like highfalutin shit. Like it's about the notes they're not playing. It's about the drums that don't hit. It's weird. But to your point, Dan, about like the type of shit he makes, there's a specific line on Full Cobra from Language Arts actually where he says I do this quaint rap. It ain't trap. I brung escapes. Like just like the whole I love how he plays with dichotomies like that where it's like trap and escape and fucking like like when he says like we not innocent, we into dollars, right. Just like he like he's
like a punchline rapper, but much more like sophisticated though.
Right, it's not corny. It doesn't feel try hard. It really he just comes to those conclusions in a way that doesn't feel like he's not like trying too hard to be clever. He's clever, but it's just like here it is. It's not like, oh, this is the most clever thing anyone's ever said ever. Like I don't feel like I'm listening to a battle rapper when I listen to Ka. I feel like I'm just listening to somebody who's just like naturally slick. Like the people that. Not all battle rappers, because there's plenty of great battle rappers who are really entertaining and are great writers. But the amateurs, I feel like they all wish they were Ka. Like if Ka didn't take himself so seriously, he might be a battle rapper, and I kind of appreciate that about him.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, there's the jazz comparison to the negative space. By the way, Ka is my number 10 rapper all time. I have him on my list as number 10. So. I always think of Porgy and Bess by Miles Davis. It's one of my favorite jazz albums. 1959. And I had a jazz teacher who said that Miles knew that there were other trumpeters who could go faster. There were other trumpeters who could swing harder. So what Miles did was create space between the notes that would give you an emotional journey.
Yeah.
And that's why nothing that sounds like that. And that's kind of what's happening in Rock and Ka's delivery that makes them so special. Cherished moments with them. Yeah,
man. I could talk about Ka all day. I kind of got a little hype there, but he's amazing.
Absolutely.
I've been a fan for years. I met him a few times. I went because when he oh man, I feel like such a dickhead for constantly telling stories about this type of shit.
Do it.
Please do.
Nah, so every time he drops an album, he pulls up somewhere and like sells physical CDs out the trunk for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And the last time he did it was Descendants of Cain. No, the last time he did it was I think Orpheus versus the Sirens, because that was before COVID. And I went out there and he goes out there and people show up and buy the albums and talk, and he's just so gracious and he's so humble and just he's just the man was a fucking FDNY fire captain, man's a fucking superhero walking on Earth. You know, like and like he did this shit on the side. You know, like he's just like dropping classics. He's dropping classics while he's at his job. You know, like it's just like what, you know, like you're like giving us this incredible music, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's a little something I do on the side. Like the fuck you mean? Like what kind of shit? Like I don't know, man. Yeah, man. It's always been so impressive to me. And, you know, I think yeah, he's a legend. He's a living legend. Shout out to Ka. That's all I got.
Absolutely.
17. That was incredible segment. 17 is the Shrapnel Metal Lung.
Oh man, these guys.
I love the production on Metal Lung. Right? I mean, it's. I love. Both of them are getting better every time they engage with each other, which is great. There's just something about this pairing that worked. When I was interviewing all of them, I kept asking different Wrecking Crew members, like, why you guys have done lots of cross collaborations. Why is Shrapnel work in a way nothing else does? It just does. And it continues to work so well. Oh man. There was, I mean, one of the big moments of the year was the Cab Calloway voice that Astro does on Cold Burn. That when that dropped, and he was doing that Cab Calloway voice on that hook, every Wrecking Crew fan was like, "Is this a weird feature? Is this Fat Boy Sharif coming in? What is happening?" And he's like, "No, I have a Cab Calloway voice. I secretly do." And I'm like, "Fucking Castro." But yeah,
he would.
You just can't get Castro.
Yeah, man. It was, you know, like just like considering the story behind everything that happened with Castro. I'm so happy he's doing better. You know, like you know, you know, like son broke his hip and got cancer, and like beat both. Like he's a god for that alone. But him and Prem Rock have just been. I love their chemistry. I love the way their voices. I love a good rap duo, man. Like I love it. I love it when people. I love it when two people come together and their voices like are like counter to each other in some way, and just like listening to them on spool together is really dope. A Tribal Stressed is one of my favorite songs of the year. Really incredible, produced by the fantastic Child Actor, who also had an incredible year, like so many great beats. But yeah, nah, man, I think this is kind of the perfect distillation of Prem and Castro's chemistry. I'm mad I missed their show because they did an album release show. I couldn't be there, but nah, man, they're great. You know, I think you know, it's really easy for real estate to get sucked up at Backwoods because of Woods and Elucid. I mean, like they're two of the best rappers breathing, and you know, like of course, like everyone's gonna be running to hear their shit, but you know, like between Shrapnel and like Akai Solo's album Spirit Roaming, that was also incredible. Like that was a really beautiful moment for him. Like you know, just like it's like it could be easy for Woods and Elucid and like the big names to suck up all the oxygen, but don't sleep on Shrapnel. Yeah, man, Metal Lung is fucking awesome. So good.
Metal Lung got conceptual. It was there, you know, there's concept songs on here, the aforementioned Cold Burn. It's really well organized, but it bangs, okay? It's fun to listen to.
Yeah.
It moves. There's killer guest verses, one of my favorite Woods verses of the year. On Mescalito, where he threw his shoulder out.
Yeah, great verse.
Yeah.
I mean, both of those guys, they're just very thoughtful because we saw them live last year. And they're just both really thoughtful dudes.
Yeah.
and that thoughtfulness reflects in the music. And like to piggyback off what Dylan was saying, I mean, you can tell seeing them live, you can see the you can see the respect and admiration that they have for each other, not only personally, but in terms of the skill, in terms of their rap skills as well.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, fun to listen to. Dylan was talking about Child Actor, Running Rebel Swordplay, amazing first song, right? Another Child Actor, but Mescalito is more that jazzy kind of feel that Prem destroys, like whenever he. So it's everybody knew everybody's strengths, right? And Castro is so good at organizing albums.
Yeah.
I kind of want to start a podcast with Castro where we take albums and reorganize them to make them
hard. I like that.
He would kill that shit. He would be so
Gotta
good.
pitch that to him. I'm sure he'd love to do one, at least try it.
Yeah, that's what I love about Castro is beat selection. You know where his parts go, how the hooks connect, everything connects, and I'm in such admiration of the craftsmanship these two put together. So, yeah, and they might be getting a little taken for granted at this point because they've been around and people like them, and people tend to take shit for granted.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 16 might be a little controversial, right? Because I'm gonna say Pusha T, It's Almost Dry, and it's above I Told Bessie, right? But I'm gonna tell you, you can't tell the story of 2022 music without It's Almost Dry. You can't.
Why is that? I'm curious.
Because It's Almost Dry is like, so there's one of my favorite pirate stories. This is strange. Is that Blackbeard was like assuaged by like a naval fleet, and all his crew was dead but him, and he was fighting them, and that they stabbed him like 100 times before he died, right? And then he fell on them or whatever. But like this is like Blackbeard fighting his last breaths. This is the last of that big, ugly, gasping pop rap album. That like it's the last of an like we're talking about Cuddy humming a hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars for some reason. We're talking about Pharrell beats on one side, Kanye beats on the other side. This feels like the end of something to me. It was all the good parts and all the bad parts of that overindulgent era that we're kind of behind.
So you're talking about like maximal rap music, basically. Yes. in like the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah, like what was the Watch the Throne, the big ugly Watch the Throne energy, right?
Yeah,
this is the last of that. This is the evil goodbye of the Watch the Throne energy.
And you know what's funny about you saying that? I don't know if y'all saw the XXL interview that Pusha T did, but like he and Kanye are done.
Yeah,
like they split. Like he's like I'm not on this shit anymore. And like he's off. He's working on an album and a mixtape right now. He's still working with Pharrell, so like we'll see where that goes. I'm looking forward to it. I wish I liked this album more. I thought it was fine, and outside of like 3 songs, I haven't thought to revisit it at all. It was cool.
We got to see him live, Kay, and he had that whole album of the year banner behind him. He was like so. He just loved being the villain in the movie. Like he just wanted to be that guy. And he had so much fun with it. I had fun indulging with it,
And I was surprised. I mean, the crowd was a younger crowd. I wasn't expecting that many that many kids, because I mean we're like old men now, like that many kids to be that into him like that.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
and I'm talking about like college kids.
Yeah, it's the Kanye effect, honestly. Like, I think that has a lot to do with it, and also like it's easy to forget that Push has a whole like second act that doesn't involve the clips at all. And like people's relationship with him starts with that, you know, like it starts with like the Wrath of Cain and My Name Is My Name and all that shit, you know, like there are like kids who started listening to Push when Numbers on the Board first dropped. And like yeah, that's crazy to think about, right? But like, you know, so like I think it's that combined with the whole Kanye thing, because Kanye was basically his muse for like a decade. You know, I think that's fair to say. And you know, I think that plays a factor in that. I'm mad that I wanted to go to this tour because because I missed him when he did the Darkest Before Dawn tour, and I love that King Push album. That shit goes crazy, super underrated. I think people didn't appreciate that one enough. But you know, I think I saw him do the set at Rolling Loud, because I was at Rolling Loud in New York that weekend covering some stuff, and you know, he did the album of the year thing. He played, I was like, It's Almost Dry isn't my favorite thing he's done. Like, there's a couple of really great songs on there. I love Brambleton. I love Diet Coke. Never really clicked for me. It's fine. I expected it to grow on me. It didn't. But Brambleton's great. Let the Smoker Shine. The Coops is great. What else?
I love Call My Bluff. I love Call My Bluff.
Call My Bluff is the one with the. Yeah, I remember Call My Bluff now. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Open Air.
You said Open Air?
Open Air.
Not my favorite. Not my favorite. We did that whole Justice League of Rap Podcasters episode on it, and it was great, and we talked about it quite a bit. And I feel like my relationship to the album's kind of, I don't want to say soured, but I feel like I was more excited about it then, and I just hasn't really done much for me now, you know. It is what it is, though. I love Push. It's, you know, it's not like it's gonna hurt him or anything, but
no. And you're right. It is special because when I think about it, Push was the only one that was in the position to be able to make an album like this that had Cudi on it. Like, you know, like you said, has the big names on it: Cudi, Pharrell, Kanye. You know, and when I look at the landscape now, like, I don't really think there's no one in that type. There's no one rapper that's like occupying that position where they almost have universal connections to everyone. You know?
That's interesting. Yeah. Like, not really. I'm trying to think if there's any like good, like the only person I can think of is like maybe Travis Scott. I feel like he's there still.
Yeah. Okay. You're right.
I'm
Travis on
I'm
this Pusha
interested.
album too?
No,
I don't think he was. No.
I'm interested to see what Travis's next album is going to be like, because I'm not the world's biggest Travis Scott fan at all. Once again, he's got good songs. Like, I don't really care about him in like generally, but you know, like, since this is going to be like the follow up to Astro World, and after everything that happened at the festival, like, that next album is going to be an interesting one. Let's put it that way. And that and his feature on that SZA album was Dumpster Juice. So we'll see.
So there's some very intelligent people right now. I just wanted to say, who are probably looking at this and saying, Dan, how could you have Pusha T, It's Almost Dry? It's one of the worst organized albums this year, right? In terms of, why is this opening song here? Why is this over here? Why are, you know, it is a terribly organized album. What I did over the course of the year was I kept coming back to it and just enjoying it as a bag of raw parts. Like, there's so much good stuff on it that I just stopped thinking of it as an album and just enjoyed, you know, like
I respect that.
Yeah, like the poo poo platter. You know, I just went for it.
Yeah.
Just pick parts. Yeah, you know, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm with that.
It's a great poo-poo platter. That's all I'll say. But yeah. So the next, what do we got? Oh, Black Thought, Danger Mouse, Cheat Codes.
Yeah.
Number 15. We had, and Zilla is an evil person. Zilla Rock.
What do you do?
He went on here with John Morris, and we talked about this album. Kay, John Morrison, and me. I was the only one who loved the album, and everyone else. And Zilla has this talent for dropping like a critique deep in your head so that it never leaves. He's very good at that. Planting. And on that, he said that Danger Mouse, what these beats are missing is they don't knock. They don't actually hit. I think he called it a European sensibility, which is funny. But
that's funny. Wow.
But he said these are like the difference between this, the $5 God song he did, which has the same sample as Belize. He's like, difference is Expert's a real hip hop producer, and that shit bangs. And the funny,
he's a real hip hop producer. Chill.
But the funny part of that was Expert reached out to me and was like, I totally disagree. This album's amazing. It's going to be important for years to come. I love the Black Thought album. I was like, dude, write me your favorite album list and I'll publish it. And I did. It's great. Got a lot of love. But the producer he was referencing loves that album. So it's fun. So it's a divisive album. A divisive album. A lot of people feel a lot of ways. I like the album a lot. I don't know that I love the Danger Mouse production because it's a little odd.
Yeah.
But there's no way to front on Thought and what Thought is.
Right.
Yeah, like come on, bro. Like one of the greatest rappers breathing. Like he's fucking Black Thought. I think so I like this album. I don't know that I really like this album, but I liked it. I reviewed it. I kind of basically I feel like this would have been the best rap album ever made if it came out in 07 or 08 like it was supposed to. Because this has been in the works for like 20 years. They were supposed to do it like way, way, way back. And then their schedules got busy. Black Thought started working on The Tonight Show. Danger Mouse did Broken Bells and was producing for Rocky and all of them. So like it just never happened. And then because I think the original one had a different title. I forget what the title is. But like this album would have been amazing if it came out like right after that Gnarls Barkley album, the second one, The Odd Couple. Like if those went back to back, it would have been nuts. Like that would be like a wow. Like I remember when that came out and it changed my life type shit. But now it's just like a pretty good rap record, Like I think I think they're a good match. I think they work well together. His beats don't really hit, which is strange because they usually do. You go listen to fucking Holy Ghost on the Rocky album. That song is amazing. You go listen to the Doom album. I mean, like all those beats hit. He's definitely not playing with the drums. But like, there's like one song on this album that has drums, and it sounds like a Griselda song. It's like one of the ones near the end. I forget what it's called.
Conway on that one? Isn't Conway on that?
Like Conway is on that song. Like that sounds like it's always really interesting to me to see these older producers kind of lope back and try to make stuff that sounds like it will be made for Griselda. Like Swizz Beatz did it on the DMX album from last year that I thought was fucking awful.
Yeah.
Danger Mouse did it here with this. Like it's so cool to see all these older producers like so inspired by Griselda that they want to make stuff that they think Griselda would hop on. Like that's power. You know, like they got reach, and it's crazy to see them influencing the people up there. But this was a cool project. You know, I wasn't mad at it. And Belize is amazing. I love the Doom verse on it. Like it's like the fact that he went so far back and he started referencing like throwaway lines from fucking from Great Day on Mad Villainy. Like he followed up on a line that he like cuts off and just like finished the line, and I was like, damn. Like I went back and re-listened to it, and Doom was one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
Like that, like I listened to it one day and I just like I teared up. I was like, damn. Like and that's the last verse we'll ever hear. Like that's the last Doom verse. You know, like what a verse to go out on. Like Jesus.
Doom's verse was absolutely one of the high points of this year.
Chills.
The Saltwater is the song with the Griselda beat with the Conway feature,
right?
And it's an interesting like microcosm of this album because you're like, how could this be at 15? It's at 15 because if you go read the lyrics to Saltwater, it's unbelievable. This is one of the best performed rap albums of the year. It's at 15 and not higher because of the production, right? But it couldn't go lower than 15 because of how beautiful, how hard thought went on every moment in time.
Sometimes the first song, that's how you open an album. Like that's an opening track. Just like the way the sample comes in and then he just kicks the door in and just goes, and hearing him and you know, like hearing him the line, the two bars that always get me are clap your hands whether you're from Patterson or Pakistan, Richard Wright, black boy turned into a black. That's like I just got chills saying that right now, and like the way the sample swells, it's just like, oh, like that's like the like that shit like gets me, that shit gets me excited, you know, like whoa, like that really that charged me up. I was like, damn, like I'm ready to go crack open every book I haven't read and just go fill my brain. Like it was just really just, yeah, man. Like Black Thought's an animal. Like just like performance wise, he's just like it's sad because the thing that really irritates me about this album too is that like the vocal mixing is really fucked on a lot of songs. Like
I think that isn't that what he said? That's what I think Zill said that. He mentioned that too.
Everybody said that. It's
like there's a couple songs that sounded like he's like recording them in a tin can. Like I love No Gold Teeth. Like bars are crazy and the beats really really nice, but like it just kind of sounds like he's like rapping it like this. Like you can barely hear me, right? Like it kind of sounds like that. Like why are you rapping this crazy shit like this? Like it's just it's like and it doesn't strike me as something that's like like we wanted to make it lo-fi because the aesthetic was cool. It's just like it just sounds like the engineer fell asleep at the board. Like honestly, like I hate to be rude, but like who you know, like I feel like Funk Flex and the Tyler shit when he's just like, what made you go with that verse? You know, like what made you make that choice?
Ooh, let's ask a question. I'm gonna ask you a cheat codes question. I'm gonna ask both of you a cheat codes question. Let's take it back in the day. You remember back in the day, they'd strip the rapping out and they would do their own remix album, right? The brown album, the red album, right? The gray album. If you did that with this album, which producer would you want to do a version of cheat codes?
Oh my God, that's a great question.
Yeah, man, I'd do that. We got options.
Damn.
We got options.
A lot of options.
I'll start. I'd go with Knowledge.
Knowledge.
That's a good answer. Ooh. That's a good answer.
That's my co-host. That's a good call. That's a good call. Oh man.
Let me think on that for a second, because Knowledge is a good answer. I want to say, Oh, I know who I want. I want Foisey from Mutant Academy.
Ooh, boy.
I want Foisey from Mutant Academy. That would go stupid. Yeah.
Oh.
Just off of what he did on Fly Anakin's love song alone. Like, yeah.
And I'm gonna go
also I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go Super Drum, and I'm gonna go Mighty Healthy.
Okay. That's a good one too.
Go the opposite direction, you know. But yeah, that's and feel free, people, post it in the comments. Who do you want to give you their cheat codes version? We should start flooding the internet with better versions of cheat codes.
Yeah. And I think we mentioned on the show as well. I think they'll do another project together. I could see this being kind of like a King's Disease type of relationship where they did this, work out all the kinks for the second one, and then they'll just continue on because they have chemistry. It just wasn't
right
to the level that everyone expected it. Well, it was at a high level, but it could have been at an even higher level. I guess is the way to put it.
I agree 100%. I think I mentioned this in my review, but it really felt no different than listening to like one of the Streams of Thought projects, because like those were all one producer projects too, and they're all good projects. I was just like, like considering like the weight and the pedigree behind like the Danger Mouse and Black the Danger Mouse and Black Thought album. Like like Kay said, I wanted this to be like, I wanted this to be like I wanted this to be like King's Disease, and I liked it way more than I liked any of the King's Disease albums. This one album wipes the floor with all three of those King's Disease albums easy. But it really felt like Streams of Thought Volume 4, which isn't a bad thing, but it could have felt like, and like I said, if this came out like 20 years ago, it would have been incredible. It would have been like if this exact album came out 20 years ago, minus the Rocky feature, because Rocky would have been a child. But like this would have been the best thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
but
to follow up on your point, Dylan, if we got Michael Kiwanuka's gotten better production than this from Danger Mouse.
Yeah, he has.
So if we got the best that Danger Mouse can give us, this is easily album of the year. This becomes album of the year to me, because that brings it up lots of levels, right? This album was album of the year, and it landed at 15, and that's why we're talking negatively about it, because it felt like this really could have been a lot more.
But love to Danger Mouse, because he was one of my favorite producers coming up. I love the Doom album. I know a lot of people find it really like silly and kind of dated. I love The Mouse and the Mask. I think it's incredible. I'm a big Adult Swim guy, so my heart will always come home.
Shaking meat wad in the gang.
Bro.
So let me go from 20. Like a recap here. 20 was AJ Suede, Metatron's Cube. 19, Namir Blade, Metropolis. 18, Ka, Woeful Studies, Language Arts. 17, Metal Lung by Shrapnel. 16, It's Almost Dry, Pusha T. Black Thought, Danger Mouse, Cheat Codes, 15. Now, we're getting to this. We're getting to a high level. This is the unimpeachable stuff. I will die for each one of these in terms of the takes. Number 14 is Death Fame by Kelly Chris. And it's to the point where I was thinking about this earlier today, because there was somebody in one of the Discords who said they don't get Kelly Chris, they don't like Kelly Chris. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're terrible." And I remembered there was a whole bunch of years where I walked around talking shit about David Bowie.
Oh.
Or I walked around saying David Bowie wasn't shit. So there are pictures of David Bowie in Nazi uniforms, like trying to look cool when that was cool, when fascism was hip. Like he was someone who was constantly changing his style, and for me at that time, it seemed like he was whatever.
Mm.
And I always talked that shit, and my buddy who I had talked that shit to, gently kind of introducing me to his stuff. Why don't you listen to this? Why don't you listen to that? And eventually I was like, holy shit, David Bowie's great. And I went back to him. It was like, how did you deal with all the shit I was talking that wasn't real? Like, and he said, I knew you didn't know him.
Mm.
You didn't know him yet.
He had your number, bro. That's funny.
Patiently waiting for when I got to know him. And so that's the gift I give in turn to people who are like, I don't get Kelly Chris. It's fine. You'll be there eventually. And this hopefully will help you.
Where should they start?
Man.
Death Fame's a pretty good place to start and work back from.
I think so. I think so too.
It showcases a lot of what he does. Yeah.
I would say Guns is a good place to start. I want to say Being You is great because that's my favorite Quelle Chris album. Yeah. But Being You is great is kind of really heavy and dense and depressing. And kind of like very conceptual. But I love that album. Like, but I would say either Death Fame or Guns would be a good place to start with him. Or Goes to the Finish Line.
I'm glad you said it. So what I had to do was I had to get away from the super hyped albums that people love, and I had to dig back into the albums before people were really into it. And Ghost at the Finish Line was really critical. 2013. That was really critical in helping me understand, like, oh, this is a rapper's rap. Like, this is a groovy dude. And like just lots of swing, and in a way, well, like one of those people who's invented a new language, like we talked about with, if you really start studying Thelonious Monk after you've studied under other kind of jazz, you're like, this is a whole new fucking language,
Yeah.
I remember playing Thelonious Monk's T for Two for my mom, and her being like, this isn't T for Two. Because it's so different. And that's what Kelly Chris is for a lot of this. I still think of Death Fame as an album that's heart is in two songs, right? Alive Ain't Always Living.
Man, what a song.
And How Could You Love Something Like Me? The whole album exists between those two emotional points, bookends. And I think it's beautiful. I just think that's how it works out for me.
Yeah, my man said if heaven's got a ghetto, hell's got a resort. That's bars right there, bro. And then just like the whole idea of Death Fame, like this is what we're talking about. Like we were talking about with Namir earlier about concepts and stuff. Like this is a concept, but like it's not like it doesn't beat you over the head, and it's not like needlessly esoteric and like ununderstandable. Like we get the concept of what Death Fame is. Like it's about that boost that rappers especially get when they die, and like how can I grab that while I'm here? How can I get that support while I can still feel it? And like what that struggle looks like. And his production, like him and Chris Keys they've been leveling up the last 2 years. Cause like I keep on forgetting the two of them scored a movie. They scored Judas and the Black Messiah, and you're like they were on the Lizzo album too. Like Chris Keys got sampled for the fucking Lizzo album. Like
Kelly like them produced the beat, right? Wasn't he
right? Yeah, he did. They just been going crazy, and yeah, he's I think it's like he's like it's been time that we need to acknowledge that he's one of the greats, like one of like the greats working right now. He's ridiculous. Like you know, like the rhymes are crazy, the relatability factor is off the fucking charts. His ear for features goes nuts. The song co-produced by Knowledge with Pink Sifu and what's the brother's name who's on it? I love that song and I'm forgetting his name. Maroof, I think his name is. I'm gonna double check. Hang on.
Which
It's
song?
gonna kill me. It's the one that Knowledge co-produced it. Fucking Pink Sifu's on it. I'm gonna look it up. I got the track.
Maroof. Yeah, sky is
the
blue
sky,
because the sunset is red.
the sun is red. Yeah. That's Maroof. I had it right. But yeah, bro, like I don't know, man. Quelle is just he's so thoughtful and so funny and just like he's like smart without beating you over the head that he's smart. You know, like it just kind of works. And Death Fame is like so warm, but it's so sad too. It's weird. It's just really weird, like uncomfortable mix of emotions. That's just like it's melancholic, but it's also like really joyful. And like there's a lot of soul behind it, but it also kind of feels like dead sometimes. It's just this weird mix of shit that Quelle is so good at. Just it's a great album. I don't know what else to say about it. I loved every minute I spent with it, but it wasn't in my rotation a ton, but every time I listened to it, I was always like, yeah, this is special, you know? It's a special one.
It starts with the Alive and Always Living, which is incredibly heartfelt, and it got us through a lot of mornings in 2022. But it ends with Excuse My Back in this screw face hardcore thing, you know? And so it's really, as Dylan said, it's an album that keeps pulling you in different directions. Whenever you think you're getting a banger, you're getting something that's melancholy or singy or, you know, just or emotional. And whenever you think you're getting more of that, you're getting hit in the face.
Keeps you on your toes. Yes.
Yeah, totally keeps you on your toes. To like, I was going to build on what Dylan said about the Death Fame conversation, right? Because yes, like getting the fame you would get if you died, but you're saying it to the audience who should give you that fame. So to me, the presentation of this album is a little like you're dating your partner. You've dated your partner for a long time. You look at your partner and you say, what do I have to do to get you to stop being mean to me
today? Yeah.
I get it. We've been through shit. I've said shit. You've said shit. What do I have to do to get us in a better place? It felt like him doing that with his audience in a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a great comparison.
How am I not on the list? What do I have to do to be counted amongst your bar generals? Like, how many of these do I have to drop? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Like I think he's someone. It's sad to say, but I think he's someone that people aren't gonna appreciate until he's not here anymore. You know, and I think that's kind of like the ugly truth that this album's all about. Like he's getting more recognition. Like we said, he's working on movies. He's on a Grammy nominated album this year. I think he won a Grammy for that song, maybe. But like he deserves way more, you know, like, and he always will. He's one of the best working right now, rapping and producing. He's nuts. So I hope he gets it.
Okay, I would say this is not an album of the year album. It's a career album. This is an album that like launches you up a bunch of spaces in the all-time list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. That's number 14. Number 13, I found out about in the most interesting place. I became a subscriber to Open Mike Eagle's secret club. And someone pulled me aside, can't remember the handle, and said, hi, Welcome to the Secret Club. You should listen to Niloufer Yanya's album Painless. I tell everybody to listen to Niloufer Yanya's album Painless. And I was like, I'm fascinated by this. I'm totally going to do this and listen to this. And I listened to it, and it became one of my favorite albums, like over the Black Thought album, over the Pusha T album. Niloufer Yanya's Painless is beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Man, I won't front. I heard a lot about this album because my people over at Pitchfork liked it a lot. I haven't gotten to listen to it, so I don't know anything about it, like not one thing. But I've heard nothing but great things, and it's on my list of album. I have like a list of like albums that's like I think it's like 24 strong at this point that I'm gonna just like tap in with and just listen to over the holidays, and that's one of them. So I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Interesting Bandcamp tags on this album: alternative, folk, indie, soulful, London.
London.
So the thing is, her voice and her delivery, the soulful part, it kind of reminded me of Nico from the Velvet Underground.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of like haunting, pained delivery. She nails that shit. But it's a little more up and moving than that kind of stuff. It is a little more alternative influenced and hooky and fun to listen to. It's still very dark and beautiful, though. Apparently, she toured with Mitski and the XX. Makes a lot of sense. So,
hey,
yeah, the Mitski is a very good comp to what you're going to get. So, but
okay.
I dig this. Because Mitski's very lyrical, very dark. But yeah, it's very impactful. I love it. I would say definitely give it a shot and put it on your deal.
I totally will.
Time to talk. Number 12, Open Mike Eagle, a tape called Component System with the auto reverse.
Auto reverse. Yo.
I hate this album title so much. I've hated remembering it. I've hated saying it. But it's and I had a tough time adopting this as my album. Do you know why?
Why?
I'm an enormous Open Mike Eagle fan. Love the Open Mike Eagle. This is the album that non-Open Mike Eagle fans have embraced the most.
I can tell, yeah.
They've come out and been like, I don't usually check his stuff like this, but these are some bars, gents. And I'm like Open Mike Eagle's great. All the albums are great. Like, the part that they don't like about Open Mike Eagle's albums is that his songs are not just barring out for 27 minutes. It's not just, 27 minutes of no hooks. It's hooks, choruses, bridges, interlocking with, challenging beats. This is someone who is influenced by Frank Black, and like the Pixies and
they might be giants. You can't forget the Giants. Shout out to them.
And so his song structure is always super interesting. I emailed Open Mike Eagle and was like, I want to talk to you about all the parts of songs that you have, like song elements, song parts. Still working it out, but I think that would be that's what I would want to talk to him about. But that's exactly what turned a lot of people off. They wanted bars. This album had less structure, so it let him bar out more, which amazed everybody else. But I kind of missed all that. But ultimately, it's fucking great. I mean,
it's so good, man.
Neat. I couldn't. It's undeniable that the album's.
It's ridiculous, the stuff that he does. I love his rhyme schemes. I love his ideas. He's to me, Open Mike Eagle is the most imaginative rapper working today. His imagination is just his imagination is just like unfuckwithable. Like just the amount of ideas and like little mini concepts that like feed into a story that he does. Like I still think a lot about Brick Body Kid Still Daydream.
Oh,
And like the idea, who else would think to make themselves a building and like talk about a building as like a living, breathing organism that's just not there anymore. Like the Robert Taylor homes just not being there no more. But like, and like he kind of does that for this specific era of music and like music consumption, particularly with this project. I'm not gonna say the whole title, but like like I had a machine that was similar to the one he's talking about, but it was like it was mostly like a CD changer that had like a tape deck on it.
yeah.
But like any music fan of a certain age who didn't have something like that, unless they just didn't have the bread for it, is lying. Like it's
Straight
just
up.
like it's such a fucking like it's such a recognizable and like universal and evergreen type of thing. And he just like distilled what it meant to kind of exist. Like that's like a little bit before my time. Like the stuff that he's talking about is just a tiny bit before my time.
Right.
But like I kind of absorbed it through osmosis. And like but like even forgetting all that esoteric conceptual bullshit, the shit just sounds fire. Great production. He got hell beats from Diamond D, which is nuts. I didn't think anybody gave a fuck about Diamond D in 2022, but here he is with like like I'll fight you is it's so simple, but it just works. Like it's so gorgeous, and he just flows over it. Like the Scott Steiner bar is so crazy. I mean, like like wrestling an open mic eagle is like you're gonna get that no matter what. But it's always nice to hear it. And like and the Doom tribute brought tears to my eyes. One of my favorite songs of the year. It's like you could just tell how much he cares, and like
to close with the CD only bonus track with Aesop Rock and Diamond D rapping with him over a Diamond D beat. I listened to it and I'm like, Open Mike Eagle's gonna sit there 20 years from now smiling that he did that.
Yeah.
Like that's a life goal thing.
You can tell that's the case for him right now.
Yeah.
Like all the interviews he did, he's been talking about how much he loved working with Diamond D. And like he's someone that not very many people like give a shit about right now. I think like the only other person who might is like Gensu Dean. Like like shout out to Gensu if he's listening. But like it's just really like I think there's been a lot of talk about like legends in rap lately and like what it means to age and like legacy acts and like what it means to be a rap legacy act. And he's someone that people should really be appreciating a lot more, even if he's like a bit of a weirdo and a bit of an old head mentality type of dude. But like the man's a legend. Like digging in the crates deserves a lot more love than they get for a lot of what they did. So for Mike to show him that kind of love, for people who would have no idea who Digging in the Crates are, no idea who Diamond D is good shit. So shout out to him. This is a really solid project.
And I want to tell people, Open Mike Eagle's a legend too, in the sense that Unapologetic Art Rap is 2010.
Yeah, man, it's been fucking 12 years.
You don't get to like I remember I had this rule back in the day. They'd be like, "Is that player a great player?" And I'd be like, "We'll talk about it after his 10th year. After you've been in the league 10 years, then we'll start talking about if you're a Hall of Fame." And so if you people who have their top rappers of all time lists, take Kelly Chris, take Open Mike Eagle, put them in your hand, and pull up your list and see where they rank with the work that they've put on the board. You'd be surprised. Yeah. You'd be surprised. They've done excellent. So Yeah. Number 11. I can't wait to talk to you about this. Lupe Fiasco, Drill Music in Zion. This
Yeah.
Lupe, I will tell you, if Lupe was watching, and of course he's watching, Lupe is selling the Wakanda Forever water bottles that our audience drinks. Thank you. So I have fallen in and out of love with Lupe's music more times than makes sense to even cover. I have more feelings about Lupe than I have about most art than I ever will have about any artist. I love this album. I love this album because I was trying to think about it. Sonically, it's great. It's great. And it's anchored by other performances. If you're going to have a great Lupe album, it needs to have a world. I was thinking about Lupe Fiasco comparable to the Punisher. This is going to be
Explain yourself.
A great Punisher comic book run is where the writer realizes that the Punisher is not interesting enough to be a one-man show. And they have the Punisher meet a little kid or the Punisher meet a lady, and you start a world. The Punisher goes to a bar, meets a crowd of people, and you introduce characters, right? So it takes the weight off of the Punisher, so he doesn't have to be so interesting all the time. Because he's a pretty straight ahead character. And Lupe's a pretty straight ahead character. Lupe's Lupe. So having Naira on Seattle and Precious Things and Autobotto, like, is great. Having Aisha Jocko start with the Lions Dean, like, great. It's great to have other voices that are leading the story. Takes pressure away from Lupe. And Lupe's bars to me are so much more sincere than they have been in the past. I'll say that.
And it's so crazy that you say that because he recorded this shit in like 3 days.
Oh, this is that project that he.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the one that they. He locked it down and just recorded the whole shit in 3 days, and it's crazy because like this is the most I've enjoyed a Lupe album in a decade. It's the most I've enjoyed a project since Tetsuo and Youth. Like what was that? I hated both the Drogas albums. I thought they were both garbage.
Drogas Wave.
Drogas Wave and Drogas Light. Didn't like either of them. I also have an incredibly complicated relationship with Lupe's music because Food and Liquor and The Cool were 2 albums that were very fundamental to me as a kid. Lasers, I have a weird relationship with. I think it gets a little more hate than it deserves, just a tiny bit, but it's still not great. It's whatever. Lupe's fucking chart is a fucking. It's just this, at all times. It just peaks and valleys everywhere. But this is the most I've enjoyed a project of his front to back in years. The concepts all mostly hit. I think Kiosk might be a bit of a reach, kind of, but I think everything else works so well. And he comes at it with respect and empathy. I kind of felt like this was a really cynical album the first time I heard it, but having listened to it again a few more times, it's a little more tender and a little more empathetic than I had initially thought. It's like the drill conversation is something that he has a personal connection to, and I sense that a lot more now listening to it again as well. It makes the last track on Phonum really fucking hit me harder because this is he says it in interviews all the time, but he grew up with gang members and guns around him. Everybody's always so surprised to hear that his earliest favorite rappers were gangster rappers. People were like, what? Not Lupe. And he's like, Yeah, no, I didn't listen to any of this like intellectual highfalutin shit until I was in like high school. Like I didn't touch any of that shit, and it just kind of worked, you know. And like Lupe kind of like he's at his best when he feels loose, but still has like a thing to go through.
Yeah.
And he's got that, but like it doesn't go off the rails. He doesn't get too ambitious. It's like there's like no concept to this album. It's just like him just kind of talking his shit. And I feel like he's at his best when he's just talking his shit and like making little concepts here and there, but like it's not like the Cool where there's a zombie drug dealer, or it's not like Drogas Wave where there's like a contingent of slaves who live in the water trying to capsize slave boats. You know, like I feel like if his stories get too big, they kind of get away from him.
Right.
You know,
And then he
I,
strains to fit the concept a lot.
right. Yeah, definitely. And now this doesn't have any of those issues. And it's just like we can just listen to this really talented, smart dude rap over really great beats. Soundtrack killed these fucking beats.
Yeah.
Oh my God, these beats are so good. Like and you're like, that's another thing. That's another thing. Like this, like beats are always kind of not exactly his strong suit. You know, he's kind of like Nas in that way, where like the beats don't always work. But no, soundtrack. And funny enough, this soundtrack is the guy who produced Kick Push. So
wow.
this is so like this guy who produced every song on here is the guy who produced Kick Push. So it makes sense to me. But
that makes sense. Do it again. I would say I mean, Lupe was one of the very first rappers where I watched the trajectory and said, "Oh shit, like you can." It's very important the tone with which you speak to your audience if you're going to cover intellectual matters, right? If you're going to make what they call conscious rap, you're going to have to be careful in how you discuss it and how you talk to your audience. Lupe got caught talking down to his audience at times.
And several times. I can think of like 3 off the top of my head.
It was real issues with that. It became hard to be a Lupe fan because you're like, no, I'm here. I get it. Like the people at the label might, but I'm not them. I'm here. I bought the album. So, but this was more natural and so much more heartfelt. My scene with this one, Kay, it was over the summer. There was a dinner party at a relative of my wife's house. All her family came in, like polo shirts, sweaters tied around the shirt. You know what I mean? Outdoor in beautiful Booth Bay Harbor, and they fucked up, Kay, and they let me DJ.
Oh God!
And I played a bunch of Lupe drill music in Zion. And everything was cool. It didn't derail the party. Everybody had a good time because there's great hooks on here. It's great flow. It's great. Like, but there was when I was watching all of them and how comfortable and happy they were and listening to this album, I could really hear how sincere this album was about the loss and the death that is attacking the community Lupe came from. How serious this album was. I could hear it even more. I don't know. That may be weird, but that's how it was. I connected to this album in that way. Like this hurts Lupe's heart. Like, and he's real about this. So that's why this album's special to me.
I agree. And it seemed oh, go ahead.
You got it.
You can go ahead.
I was just gonna say that just pops up like, like he's the only rapper I could think of who could get away with doing something like the beginning of the song where he's just like, rappers die too much. That's the verse, and then he just lets it ride for 8 bars. Like he's you could, and then the second verse is where he explains everything, and he's just like, like how can we, like how can we be so damned by God that we wish our friends are goddamn liars because I don't want you to be telling the truth about the shit that you do. It's like you could tell he really gives a fuck, like really rough shit. But like, yeah, no, this shit's tough. I like this album a lot.
I like it.
Yeah.
Number 10, K. I'm gonna have you lead the charge on this. Why is Ari Lennox Age, Sex, Location an important album in 2022?
Why is it? Well, I mean, I think that and when we talked about this when it came out, I mean, she's the direction that R&B is going in. She's the new her and SZA. They're the I don't know what the term is. They're the ones out front for the new R&B.
Trendsetter.
Trendsetter, yes. They're out there with holding the flag going forward. And I just think that this was like a really, like it was like a relatable to 20. This was the embodiment of the 2022 R&B for me.
Yeah.
And like SZA, SZA special as well. But this was a 2022 R&B album for me. This was like when we go back and we're looking at the year of 2022 in terms of music, I think that this will be one of the albums that they point towards. Like this was where R&B was at the time. Ari Lennox's album.
Yeah. I agree. She's definitely stepped into a, like, I liked the last one, but this one's like Shea Butter Baby was cool, but this is like she's arrived. Like she's like a genuine, like that's gonna be one that like in 10 years when the next crop shows up, they're gonna be like, oh, I was listening to Age, Sex, Location.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Like she hit that level. Like I love this album. I love it. I wish I could live inside this shit. Hoodie is one of my favorite songs of the year. I love the fact that she made a song about something that I hold extremely close to my heart. So sexy and so warm and so inviting, and like, like she's so good at playing whatever role she needs to in any story that she's telling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like whether she's like completely infatuated with someone, loves someone who doesn't love her back, is in the middle of breaking up with somebody, like she just covers every angle of love and just like so many dynamic ways. There was a period of time where I thought she sounded too much like Erykah Badu, like the tone of her voice.
Yeah.
Like it gives me a lot of Badu. Like I don't, like in the way that like Bronson sounds like Ghostface. Like that's kind of how I feel about that. But like obviously she's not like a carbon copy of Badu at all. She's making completely, she's not, like it's kind of sort of neo soul, but not really. It's different, and it's different, and it's just she just makes good ass music, man. Like it's been, like R&B is something that I'll always love, but like that and the SZA album are two, like those are gonna be like blueprints that people are taking from in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like that's like a, it's coming for sure.
No, I was gonna say the I was quiet about it this year, but I remember when people were going off about JID, I was like, Age, Sex, Location's the best album that came out on Dreamville, and it's not close. It's not close. Like this is a new world of sexy R&B where things are more explicit, right? Like Summer Walker era of R&B. And like if you think of it like a car dealership, right? Age, Sex, Location is in a special room, right? That's a special wing. That's the most expensive luxury version of the sex talk you're going to get. It sounds like $1 million. It's delivered in pristine shape, but it's insane. Like my wife did a whip around while driving, where her head whipped and she looked at the stereo, and then she looked at me and said, "Did you say spread me like queso?" And I was like, yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the power of Ari's lyricism. She has such a personality that comes through.
Yeah, man.
Um, like I've listened to the song "Boy Bye" so much. I didn't like it at first because it's so weird. But it being so weird kept bringing me back to it with Lucky Day, where they just talk shit
Yeah,
back to each other.
yeah.
I was
And
like,
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. It's a reflection of the not only of the state of R&B, but I think it's really a reflection of the times
yep,
that we're in right now.
the state of
Yo,
relationship.
like definitely, and like, man, what was I gonna say? I just had something to add. I think I was gonna say, oh, why did I just lose my train of thought? Shit, I'm mad. I can't remember now. Maybe it'll come back to me later. But this
You
is a great
good?
album, and shit. So I'm really just blown that I lost this thought.
It's good.
Um,
Hey, it's all right.
it'll come back to me.
Yeah,
It'll
we can
come
go to
back
the
to me. We'll
next
figure
one
it
and
out later.
we'll pop in. We'll pop in with it. But the next one is number 9. We're talking about Larry June, Spaceships on the Blade.
Man, I'm
Ooh,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised to see this one so high. I like this album too, but like top 10 is like
damn.
you must really be about your hyphy, bro.
I mean, it was a very stylish year, right? Full of lots of stylish and interesting people, right? Who were just really fucking cool sounding. Concept Jackson and Rock Marciano and just these people who just could impact you with their personality. And if you're a rapper's rapper who fills your bars and makes encyclopedic references and you know a lot about chemistry and people don't respect it enough, you should listen to Spaceships on the Blade. Listen to Spaceships on the Blade and listen to how Larry guides you through his world. Listen to how Larry grabs Sid and just says, "Come on in. This will make sense," and makes it work on For Tonight. Like,
Yeah.
it's Spaceships on the Blade. How long is it? Is it
It's
long?
like almost an hour. It's pretty long.
It doesn't feel like
Yeah, it really doesn't.
it really just flies. Like, Kay, tell me how many weeks in a row this album dropped August 19th. How many weeks in a row when we got the recommendation corner did our guests say they were bumping Larry June?
Yeah, there were multiple people because I do remember, and it was off the cuff. That's what I do remember because and then you would follow up like, yeah, I'm listening to it too. But that happened multiple times. So.
They were never connected. They were never people who knew each other. They were just random guests that, like 4 weeks in a row, were all bumping Spaceships on the Blade.
Yeah.
Because it goes beyond bars, it goes beyond all that stuff. Larry June, Spaceships on the Blade, to me was like, I called it the cheapest, mood tranquilizer on the market. Right? If you felt like you were in a bad mood, you could put this album on, and you could just feel better and relax.
Mm.
You know, even the ad libs, the hey, like it's a very Currency Lane, like to me,
Yeah.
where and Currency at his height was just my favorite. I've got Jet Life merchandise all over my house. So it's very reminiscent of that peak. So definitely Spaceships on the Blade. I'm a sucker for a West Coast album. This is the best of that to me.
It's really really good. It's really really good. I liked it a lot. I just like Larry. I know Larry's whole thing is like oranges and orange juice, but like, and it's apt because like, bro, he just he sounds like the first sip of juice you sip in the morning. Like that's like, you know, like it's that like refreshing and like not energizing, but just like grounding. He makes like really like grounded, just like player shit. You know, like you could
Yep.
tell he spent time in the South and he spent time on the West Coast, and you can kind of tell like in his vocal timbre and the way it's like everything about it is just so smooth. You know, like it's hard to really find any like there's faults, I'm sure, but like it's like he makes like really agreeable music. It's really hard to listen to it and be like, you
Right.
know, like or just like I don't like this. Like I don't know that I've ever met anybody who like vehemently like abhors Larry June. You know, like if it plays, I'm like, all right, this is cool. It's a vibe, you know, like
Yeah.
it's a whole fucking vibe. I love this guy's music and I love his whole persona. Him and Jay Worthy put out a really good album this year
Yeah.
too. That
Yeah.
that I actually think I actually no. I like this more than I like the Jay Worthy or than the Jay Worthy album.
Hotel
But
Bel Air is it
that's
called? Yeah.
yeah, Hotel Bel Air. But that album has one song that I like better than every song on this album. And it's the one with Jim
I know.
Jones.
I
That
know.
song is great. That song is fantastic.
Yep.
But nah, yeah, man, you really can't go wrong with Larry June. He's definitely like the new age currency. I think that's a great comparison.
And
Yeah,
if you haven't tapped in yet and you want to find a place to start, I always say Orange Print is pretty much the that is Larry like in all the superpowers coming together. That is the
right.
first like that is where we are. Orange Print on is the way.
Either either that or keep going. The Harry Fraud project. That's a good place to start
Sure,
too.
that's good. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
That's a good place to start too.
yeah. Yeah. No, he's got a great ear for beats. He's got an incredible production on this album. So, uh, yeah, just never misses his opportunities. Number eight. Number eight completed a personal relationship thing. My wife says there were three artists that I didn't like or understand when we met that she needed me to remedy. And this was the third. The Mountain Goats, their new album, Bleed Out. So this completes the cycle, and so it's good. I never hated the Mountain Goats. Not a David Bowie situation. But it I just thought of them as super heady, like intensely heady folk kind of stuff. Concept album generals, you know, that I didn't really, I wasn't that interested in, you know, in the Sun Kill Moon maybe category. I had them in my head. Uh, but Bleed Out is fun as fuck. It's a fun album full of big, silly, awesome songs. Um, and it jams. And I really connected to them and to their back catalog through it. Uh, I was like, oh no, they're kind of like the Mountain Goats are kind of like Weezer if they never lost their mind. Um, so yeah, but this is an album full of like fun. There's a lot of fun '80s concepts on here. Training montage is the first song. Guys on Every Corner is a clear kind of sunglasses at night feeling '80s song. Um, you know, there's First Blood. There's just a lot of like, you know, silly '80s concepts, but they have a way of finding their way to the pain of songs. So there's incredibly sad moments. You know, Bleed Out is just an incredibly sad 7 minute, beautiful song, but it still knocks like everything else. It's just that yeah, it's incredible. I think this album is incredible. It's my favorite. It's my favorite rock album of the year. Um,
Yeah.
Okay.
I fuck with yeah, no, I fuck with the Mountain Goats. I like this album quite a bit too. I got put onto the Mountain Goats while I was in college, and my girlfriend, my partner, also really fucks with the Mountain Goats, and I just like I don't know. It's always kind of been around, but I'm fucking with them more now. And this is a really really good album, man. They're I just yeah, I appreciate that they take they don't they take themselves seriously enough to know that they can have fun.
Mm.
You know, like in general, but like this just felt so soulful and just it was so easy for me to connect to it. I
Nope.
really, really like this album. It's very, very good.
There's a the Mountain Ghost. There's a very high writing standard, right? Like the
Yeah.
lyrics are always top notch, but like you're saying, because the lyrics are top notch, and they know that, the rest of the journey is how do we have fun with this? So you get songs like Hostages, which is just insane. Um, and like no other rock song you'll hear uh, this year. They were just able to extraction point, like, and just keep giving you things that just no one else does. It's just a masterclass. And I like these kind of albums that are like from really important people, veteran groups who don't have anything more to prove, but are still working at an incredibly high level.
Yeah.
I just I love that comfort and craft. And I just think it's, you can learn a lot listening to this Bleed Out album from the Mountain Goats. Yeah.
Totally.
So I'm gonna go the next one, and I've been yelling about this all year. You still hear Ho Flo Millie?
Well, Millie said, yeah, I love her, man.
Love this fucking album. Love this album. Um, yeah. Do I have an irrational love for this album? I have no idea. It's it's so driven. This album is so driven. It moves. It's in your face. The concept of it being based around I Love New York is insane.
Yeah, man. She's just like Flo Millie's different, man. Like her flows are crazy. I
Close.
love her voice. She was born to rap, man. Like
Yeah.
she was just born. She was born to rap and be a bully. Like she's a fucking but you know, like she's a fucking like she's like a manic pixie bully on the fucking mic. I love that about her. Um the fucking her verse on the We Not Humpin' remix is one of my favorite things I heard all year. My partner loves that song, and I do too. But like, yeah, nah, she hit a new level. She's at a point now where she can like, you know, like it's just she's just so incredibly talented. I learned recently that she's from Alabama. She's
Yep.
the best rapper out of Alabama, like right now. Like it's like her and OMB are like my two favorite rappers. Oh, and No Cap. No Cap is great too. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how much y'all like No Cap, but I love
Yeah.
No Cap. But yeah, no, like the three of them are kind of holding it down for Alabama right now, and she's crazy, man. This project is really great, and I'm happy that it wound up on someone's list because I feel like she doesn't really get the love she deserves, you know.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen soon, but like
Yeah. I told Kay this album replaced for me what I used to love from Megan the Stallion, right? I used to
Mhm.
love Megan just punching me in the face, right? And now she's doing songs with Dua Lipa and explaining current events stuff in her life, and it's cool. It's a pop star phase, but
Mhm.
you know, I'll take the you know, I'll take the Pimp C inspired version of Megan over this one, and that's kind of the phase Flo Millie is still in. Flo Millie is still hitting you in the face with Big Steppa and Bedtime and just
Yeah. That's interesting than the comparison to Meg though. I think it's weird because I think not to compare the two of them because they're pretty different
sure.
stylistically, I think, but I think uh I think Flo Milli has as many if not more better projects than Meg. Cuz I would put Meg over Flo Milli in terms of like pure rapping ability,
Oh yeah.
but like Meg's projects don't always come together the way they should. Like
Yeah,
Tina Snow to me is still her best project.
Yes.
And then right behind that is the Something for the Hotties Lucy compilation she put out this year. Like just like compiling all those freestyles and B-sides and like loose tracks was a brilliant move because like those are some of my favorite songs I heard all year. I listened to that endlessly this year. Like I'm surprised that it didn't wind up in my Spotify shit. Like that's how much I played it. But what's it called? Back to Flo Milli. She's dope. I have nothing more to say other than that she's dope, and I can't wait for her to really hit with everyone else the way she seems to have hit with I mean, like she has like a base obviously, and she's very famous and well recognized. But I think she's got even more coming. So
yeah,
I love Flo.
Roaring 20s is one of my favorite songs of the year. The Kenny Beats.
Really good song too. Yeah.
Incredible. My wife was floored when she heard that.
Great way to start the year off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Flo Milli is a lot more stable than a lot of other properties. A lot of people are making messy albums in the pop space, and Flo Milli's 2 for 2 right now. Like, you can't really fuck with these first 2 albums. These are
the last one was really good too. Yeah, I agree.
You can't really fuck with it. She's on the way up, up, up. So I'm with it. That's number 7. So let's go over it. 14, Death Fame, Kelly Chris. Then 13, Painless, Nilufer Yanya. Open Mike Eagle, you long, contentious album title, you. Lupe Fiasco, Drill Music in Zion. Age, Sex, Location, number 10. Ari Lennox, number 9. Larry June. 8, Mountain Goats, Bleed Out. 7, Flo Milli, You Still Here. Oh. Doing number 6. And I will tell you, originally, I was a Church Over Aethiopes guy.
Hmm.
I was originally, but I'm not anymore. I came down to Church. What's special about Church, and we can move through it because we got to answer. But Church is to me about the relationship between Messiah Music and Billy Woods. It's about how special they are together, and that run from Polo Loco to All Jokes Aside is the most impressive 1-2 punch of songs of the year for me.
Yeah.
I love that. And All Jokes Aside was like, it was a real wild moment for me. Woods is in a special place with the writing. Messiah always gets the most emotion out of everybody he works with. So this was they just make sense together. I love Woods when everything fits, and that's I love that. Go number 5. There's more Woods talk.
Quick.
What? Yep.
Real quick. Yeah, I love Billy Woods. I didn't like this as much as I liked Ethiops, but it's still really great. The fact that he put out 2 great projects back to back this year is like a testament to like I just think Ethiops is like that's like his peak right now, like that's like his best project ever. Like better than History Will Absolve Me, better than all the early shit. Like that's the one for me right now. But Church is great. Love Messiah music. Love his beats. Like he's got like a really unique ear when it comes to shit like that. Like he's like halfway between somebody like a August Fanon and like a Preservation. But we can get more into that later. Shout out to Woods.
We will.
Shout out to
number 5 is Lady Ray, Piece of Me. This album has been important to me since it dropped, right? Since before it dropped, when I had the pre-order. I love this album. I love this phase of Lady Ray's career. I've cried a lot to this album. Like, there's a lot of heartfelt shit on there. Like, there's a lot of wistful moments of where like, this album is about family and loss and parenthood and growing up, making mistakes, having regrets, getting over it. Yeah, it's grown and sexy shit. And I, you know, it just hit me really hard, probably because that's where I'm at. But I wasn't alone, right? Prem Rock loves this album. Lots of people I talked to love this album, and have repped for it. So this is a beautiful album, and I hope people really engage with it. Lady Ray,
Yeah, I haven't checked it yet, but it's on my list, definitely.
definitely do it. We talked a lot about it on the mid-year show.
Yeah.
I showed it to Cam from Crane 808 hadn't heard it, and he was taken by it, and he really loved it, so that was cool. So yeah, this is an album that hopefully will keep spreading. To number 4, Rock Marciano Alchemist, The Elephant Man's Bones. This was number 1 for a few weeks. This was number 1 for a while. This was actually the last number 1. Because it is the best version of this sound, right? The sound that we give Griselda all the credit, right? But that Rock did a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what else needs to be said about Rock Marciano and Alchemist? Like, the fact that they finally put their album together is like, this shit goes crazy. I don't understand. I don't understand how they got this to sound as good as they got it to sound. I'm like kind of blown, honestly. It's just I'm trying to think of like what else to say. Like I can't think of any time that Alchemist has ever sounded. I can't think of any other time that an Alchemist beat has sounded like this.
Yeah.
Like any Alchemist beat, it's just like it's just like so soft and tender, and like it sounds like you're in a jazz club, kind of, and like Rock just kind of goes in and just like, man, I wrote about this album and I gave it a best new music because it's a best new music. Like I don't know what else. It just works. It does everything it needs to do. And like unlike the Black Thought and Danger Mouse album, I feel like this was a perfect, like, the anticipation and hype was there and they met it. They damn near exceeded it, like I thought this went exactly the way it needed to. And just like the lines alone, man, this this man really said that his Bentley comes with his own personal Farnsworth Bentley. Like what the fuck? Like what do you mean? And it's like so many slick little lines that like like Rock Marcy has always been like a dad joke rapper to me, but like his persona, he just makes it work. Like it's just so smooth, you don't care. Like some of the lines would be corny coming out of anybody else, but like he just makes it work.
This is a dark album too. It has the swagger of like a Larry June album, but it has a real darkness to it.
Yeah.
Being this strategically masterful makes you alone and all that. But to your point about Danger Mouse, the difference with cheat codes, Alchemist crafted this around Rock. He didn't force his vision onto Rock, so everything fits beautiful. The other thing I would say is, if you're someone who has only heard the streaming version, you have not heard the album. The streaming version ends with Think Big. The real version ends with Mama Love.
Yeah, there's 2 new songs on there.
Macaroni and Mama Love. If you don't have it, you need to have it. You need to seek it out. Those songs are critical to understand.
The only way you can hear those is if you find them on YouTube or buy the $30 Pimpire version. I managed to get somebody bought it and shared their link on Twitter, so shout out to that person because that's how I got it. But but then again, I also went to they did a pop-up in New York and I went and like bought a CD. Yeah. So, and got to like talk to the 2 of them.
That's awesome.
fucking
awesome.
crazy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's incredible.
it's so good. Like it like it really does feel like a culmination of everything that Rock and Alchemist have been working towards separately, and they just did it together. You know, like really just like immaculate raps, immaculate production, just like heaters front to back. Like Quantum Leap goes crazy, goddamn Think Big is crazy,
Yep.
Stigmata goes crazy, fucking yeah, I don't know, man. It just works. The whole thing works.
It took a while for me to hear all the textures in it, in the sounds and how interesting the sounds were. But once I did, I was floored. The by the way, number 3, I thought I was on an island on this until the list started coming out and it started appearing on a bunch of the lists. Sudan Archives, Natural Brown Prom Queen.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
I have been a diehard Sudan Archives person since I heard Not for Sale. That's like, that was the one that locked me in. He was like, all right, I'm on the ride now. That was on Sync. And so I was pumped for this album to come out. And when it was a more pop album, I was like, I missed but no, this album carries over all the beautiful violin compositions that Sudan Archives is known for, just makes it bigger. It just expands the world. And Chevy S10 is one of the best songs of the year. It's got so much incredible, like there's this interlude about like trusting yourself, being yourself, and going with God, and then the next song is Freakalizer. You know,
Yeah.
it's so cool. It's such a beautiful album. It's such a beautiful tribute to um, the personality, creativity, and heart that Black women bring to creative spaces.
Right, man. She's a gem. We don't deserve Sudan Archives at all. This was something that took me a while to get to just because I've been so busy, but like floored, man. And like I've been a fan of hers since probably whenever she did her colors. That was when I first really started to tap in.
Yeah.
And you know, like she's I don't want to call her a threat, but like she's just like she's just putting everybody on notice, bro. Like this is one of those, she's like a generational talent who can do like 80,000 different things and do all of them well, you know? Like I can't remember the last time I like fucked with anything coming from Stone's Throw like that. That wasn't the last Knowledge album, you know? And like Stone's Throw has their star
Right.
right now. You know, like
Right.
she's you know, like she's kind of, I feel like her and Knowledge are kind of running point over there right now in terms of like these are the two best people on our label, don't fuck with us type shit. You know, like but like even forgetting her affiliation with the label, she's incredible. Love her voice, love her songwriting, love the creativity. I love the ambition and the scope and the general concept of the album. And once again, it's everything about it just feels so natural and like she's great, you know, just like you're just completely floored by how exceptionally talented someone is, and she's that. Like I'm always impressed with what she does, and this was like a, you know, like you know, like not to keep going back to Pitchfork, but they gave it a 9. They
Yeah.
rated this almost as high as the Beyonce album. Like it's that good. I promise it's that. Anybody who hasn't heard this album, it's that good. Like like you'll listen to it and be like, where have I been this whole time? Like it's phenomenal. You know, so good.
Hey, did you ever hear this one?
No, I have not seen this. Listened to this one yet.
Hey, you got a treat coming over the holidays. Do that for yourself.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love this.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
It's beautiful.
Stupid
So
fire.
let's the second one, Preservation's Billy Woods Ethiops. My
Mhm.
my cheat on this is just basically, I said this from the get-go, and I think it came off as maybe a slight against Alchemist, which it isn't. But I think Billy Woods fits more naturally with Preservation than he does with Al. And Haram is great, but Aethiopes fits so well because Preservation loves interesting sounds that can throw you off, but he also wants his shit to knock like hard. So it's everything sounds dirty but opulent, right?
Yep.
And there's a rolling like drums that goes through this album that kind of connects deep within you. Like I can feel the drums on Wharves in my soul. You know what I'm saying? Like when you say Wharves, I can hear it coming from here, and then I hear Woods. You know, this was an incredible. This was an incredible one producer, one rapper album journey with an incredible concept, you know, in terms of the colonialization and history of Africa pulled through, you know, his life and today. It's something like we had never seen, you know.
Bro, King of All Blacks, I Eat Human Hearts is like my favorite song intro of the entire year. Because like he's obviously joking, but like I think this is an album that really helped people appreciate how funny Woods can be.
Yeah.
Because like everybody thinks of him and Elucid as like these like two deathly serious fucking like these like doomsday prepper type dudes. And like they're just like very like they're like very smart, but they're like really fucking funny. You know, like there's like this image I always think about on Ethiops where Woods says that he describes colonizers who shot through the water like God's semen. That's fucking funny. Like, you know, like what do you mean you shot through like God's semen? And then there's like a whole bit where he talks about on his first verse on Heavy Water, the song with the God Breeze Bruin and LP, you know, shout out to both of them.
Yeah.
You know, he starts it off. He calls himself the multiverse Benzino, and then he starts describing a Medusa head twisted with Senegalese braids. Like what? He's on some other shit. You know, like Woods is on some other shit at all times. You know, like he's just so good at bridging like pop culture and history and just like his own personal life into these like really interesting and funny and like dense fables. And he's just like so good at telling one-off stories. You know, like fucking No Hard Feelings is about a one-night stand. And I love that song. You know, like just like the way it moves is so like it's sad, but it's like very melancholy and like Preservation. I knew the two of them were gonna work together. I knew they were gonna work well when I first heard Lemon Rinds from Preservation's album Eastern Medicine Western Illness. Which was really, you know, like kind of underappreciated, all things considered. Like really great album. Like that song, the Makami song and the Navy Blue song are phenomenal. But I knew I had hoped they would work together for a full length one day, and we got it. You know, like it's like I said before, this is peak. Like if I were to tell anyone to start with a Billy Woods album, it would be Ethiops. Like it's ridiculous. You know, like there's like nobody writing like Woods. There's nobody making beats like Prez. Like I've had the pleasure of interviewing them both before, and like, you know, like they're both so humble and they just try to make themselves seem so regular. Like no, like these dudes are aliens. You know, like I don't understand how they get to the places they do. It's really wild. Really, like it might be a perfect album. I don't know if I'm there yet, but it might be like it might be the best version of exactly what it wants to be. And that's all you can really ask for anything. Well, that's not all you can ask, like, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there's so many people, Kay, who came on this show and were like, I've been studying how Billy Woods writes. You know,
Mhm.
the influence of Woods on rappers is being heard, right?
Yeah.
People are learning in real time from Woods.
Yeah.
Sure.
We don't talk about it like that, but like Woods is probably one of the most influential rappers working today. You know, like just off of what he did to Earl. You know, like you know, like you know, like we talk all the time about Earl kind of taking influence from Slums and Mike and all of them, which yes, he did.
Yep.
But like we don't talk about the influence that Billy Woods had on Tebe, man. Like it's like ridiculous. Just like people talk about your favorite rapper's favorite rapper all the time. Right now, your favorite rapper is Billy Woods. Easy.
Woo!
He's the guy with the hot hand right now, and he's had the hot hand for like a decade. But like it's like molten, scorching hot right now.
Yeah.
He's dumping like crazy, and I'm happy that he's getting so much. I'm happy that him and everyone on Backwards are getting all the respect they deserve. You know, like really, like you know, like I've been thinking a lot this year. Not to ramble too much, I've been thinking a lot this year about like hip hop moments and just like moments in history that I wish I could have been at and like gone to and like experienced, whether it was like a show or a movement. And like this renaissance that Backwoods is going through right now, that's gonna be like a, you know, like kids who are into like shit like this in the future are gonna be like, damn, I wish I was at these Billy Wood shows. I wish I was at these Arm and Hammer shows. I wish I was at these Shrapnel like they're gonna be it. Like that, like, you know, like that's like we're watching history happen right now. Like it's phenomenal what they got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kay, did this album live with you throughout the year?
I mean, I didn't go back to it a lot, but I do remember when it came out, and I think it was just for me, it was one of those albums that was inspiring in a way. Like it's kind of in the same vein as Ka. It's like when you see someone who takes their art and their craft so seriously, uh, in terms of the not seriously in terms of the tone, but tone, and in terms of wanting to create the best product that they could, or create the best album that they could. You can't help but get inspired, and I really feel like these two went out wanting to make the best album that they could.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my not to do any drum roll, I'm going to go right to it. Number 1, album of the year. Let's do it. We finally settled. I had to go with it. King Cobra by Brian Eddles and Infinity Knives.
Yeah, man. It's like what yeah. They reached out to me and were like, we need you to hear this. And I was like, let me listen to this. Like, what a goddamn debut, man. Like this is like it's and Enels and Infinity Knives are such an incredible duo. And like they just it's been a while since I've seen like a duo like at that level just kind of be like, all right, we just like shit out something that feels so it feels so cutting edge and so just like of the now and just so like this is the shit people are gonna be on in like 2 years. Like they just and like they've been working together for so long and just like
right.
I don't know, man. Like Enels' voice is crazy. His thoughts and his perspective are crazy. Like he just gets it, you know. Like he's such an incredible rapper. Like, and I interviewed him this year, and he told me that like he doesn't even really think about the writing.
Right.
You know, like he just kind of puts the thoughts together, and he's somebody who I look at like Ka in the sense that like he just breaks shit down he breaks complex shit down into very simple, easy to understand thoughts. I'm trying to remember the name of the last song No, it was
Sambum's
Sambo's last words, the second to
Yeah,
last song.
Yep.
Yo, that's an incredible song. Incredible. Like, just the things that he's talking about, from like the silly to him being like, oh, I just realized the American flag's the same color as cop lights. Right. Wow, I didn't think about that either. That's a head bust. But then just like him kind of breaking down, like, damn, like my mom turned 65 and I realized, like, damn, son, she's really gonna die. And like just like like the whole thing at the end where he's just like, shit really ain't that deep. What did he say? He said shit really ain't that deep. Fuck as much as you can.
Yes.
Something else, and pray that you die in your sleep or something.
Right.
Like,
look after your kids, right? Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah, right. Shit really ain't that deep. Fuck as much as you can, love your kids, and pray you die in your sleep. That's it. Like, I don't know, man. That's if like, if there's a better life mantra, I haven't heard it. Like, he's yeah. It was just a killer debut, and I hope I hope that everyone and their mother realizes how crazy they've been going, because that's, yeah. I know they're gonna be listening to this, so like, y'all both did an excellent job with this shit, and I'm so sorry that it took me so long to hear it, but I'm here, guys. I'm here, y'all. Like, this shit rocks. Like,
I booked them for an interview before I heard the full album. I heard Death of a Constable. I saw the cover. I had heard Rhino XL, and I was like, "Gimme, let's go. Let's book this." And then they sent the advance. There has not been a superior first listen in all of 2022. The first listen of King Cobra was like nothing that I had heard, from the Tyler Moonlight interludes, which I don't even think they're interludes. They're songs. They're just beautiful songs. The composition of this, right? Instrumental moments and leaning into the big Ice Cube style voice, that was just perfectly encapsulating how shitty everybody felt. Study King Cobra. Like, if you are very good lyrically, you can study King Cobra, because not only is Ennals gifted lyrically, but these vocal doubles that he does of himself add so much personality to the album. I told them when I interviewed that the album took shape as a personality to me when he yelled, fuck people that take pictures next to cars.
like, just.
And it was like, there's something about that was so fucking perfect, and it was so like, that is King Cobra in a nutshell, and you express personality through that. It's great.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where the two of them go, and just like Infinity Knives too. We got to talk about those beats, because he's just, yeah, man, he's an animal. Like, just like it's like so jazzy and like rockish, but like it's just one of those sounds that like it's like its foot is in 8 different places at once, and it's you don't know how that's possible, but it just is. And it's not very often that I'm like lost for words, but it's like I can't put into words how much I like that album.
I was on Call Out Culture with Brian Ennals. We were doing a TIP episode, about TI. And during a break, he said, "Oh, album's done, by the way." And he was like, "Hey, Zilla, I think we covered it." What do you mean? I think we covered every era of hip hop on this album. From drill to 80s to West Coast Ice-T, like all that shit. I think we got everything. And that was when I was like, "Oh, I gotta hear this." Like, and he really did. This album kind of does cover all the sounds of hip hop, historically flipped to Ennals' degree. It's amazing. You know, I talked to them about how insane it was to have Death of a Constable as a single. And they were like, "Oh no, we thought it was the funnest beat on the project." They were so tunnel vision with this album, they didn't realize how unique it was.
Yeah,
they didn't realize how specific their world was and how there was just nothing like it for anyone outside of them. Yeah,
right. And there really is nothing else that sounds like it that came out this year. You know, like really, really singular piece of work that I can't wait to see where they go next. You know, like like I'm mad that I missed, like I missed the Shrapnel show and they opened for them in Brooklyn. I'm mad I couldn't be there for that.
Oh,
I'm so upset about that. I like had to apologize. I told them I was gonna be there, but I couldn't be because reasons. And like I just like I'm excited. I'm just excited to see them, like the next one, they're gonna go. Like the next one is gonna be an event. Like the next one is going to be when everyone's like, oh, who's this Brian Ennals and Infinity Knives duo? Like, like this is the ground floor. This album, King Cobra is the ground floor for them. I mean, like the last project they put out was great too, but like this is like you better, like the train is leaving the station after this one. Like get on now. Like,
yeah. No, it felt like I don't know, like some. If I was to compare it to a movie, it would be Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because
I don't know.
Love Sorry to Bother You.
It's great. I don't know if Ennals would agree with that. Something tells me he probably has some problems with what's bro's name from what's what's the guy from the bands? What's the director's name? Why can't I remember his name?
Oh, the Coup. Yeah, the
Boots Riley.
Yeah, Boots Riley. Yeah, something tells me he'd have something crazy to say about Boots Riley. But I love that movie, and I think it's a great comparison. So let's go with it because yes,
because it felt like the more, it felt like a more insane, unhinged version of Get Out. Like it felt like Get Out was the one people were comfortable talking about, and Sorry to Bother You was kind of rampaging through all those things that had been carefully calculated. And this, so that's where it lives in my mind in that sense. But yeah, Kay, how did you feel when you heard it?
From what I remember, it was, I think it was like, I don't want to say punch you in the face, but it was really in your face.
Yeah.
What I can remember from it.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go back to it. I mean, as I said, there's been so much music that's come out.
Yep.
Like a lot of these remarkable albums, like if you don't like systematically write it down and remember it, it's going to get lost in the freight. So
you gotta have a system. You
gotta have a system. Yeah. I mean, that would be looking forward to 2023. That would be the advice that I would give to not only myself but anyone else. You got to have a system nowadays.
I'm with you. Dylan, you got to go, so I will let you ride.
Yo, before I leave, great list. Thank you for having me involved. B, I want to just mention two of my favorites that didn't make this list. And those are the Fly Anakin album, Frank, which is incredible. And the Red Veil album, Learn to Swim, which is also incredible. Like that kid's a star. Like he's like he might go up there with the next one. Like Learn to Swim, like I'm looking at the vinyl right now. Like it's fucking incredible. Like the way it sounds, like like he's not the best rapper ever, but like the way that he's a prodigy, he's just a prodigy, man. Like the way the production works, and just like he produced it all himself, and it's all these different kinds of rap just like brought together in a way that just sounds gorgeous. Like everyone go listen to Learn to Swim. Like in the same way that I'm excited about Ennals and Infinity Knives, I'm excited about Red Veil. Like he's been on the come up for like at least 3 years now, and like after the next one, he's out of here. So get familiar, tap in.
Frank was a top 5 album during this year for me. There was just other stuff I fell in love with more, but I love that album. It is a huge turning point for Fly Anakin in the career.
For sure.
I had Red Veil. I heard when it came out. I just wasn't in the right space. It was fine. I re-listened to it after you name dropped it last week, and I was just floored by it. Absolutely floored by it. If I had really engaged with it and carved out time with it, it would definitely have been on this. No question.
Yeah, truly, yeah, like phenomenal album. I forgot that I name dropped it. I couldn't remember. Sorry.
No,
But
I was about to throw it in recommendation corner. Like it's a hell of a record. It's beautifully sung, great beats. I don't know. Felt like the first time I heard Mick Jenkins. I was like, oh shit, you know?
Yeah, like yeah, man, just like wise beyond his years. Just a fucking he was 17 when like anybody listening to Learn to Swim, you got to keep in mind he was 17 years old when he produced every song himself. Like it's all him. Like 17-year-old kid put the shit together. Like I'm still amazed. You know, I'm still amazed.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I got to split because I got to go pick up my sister. But
Yep.
I love y'all.
you.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you, man, for being on.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here, yo. But I'm gonna talk to y'all soon, and I can't wait to hear this and share it out.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Put it out there.
Happy holidays, man.
So much. You have a great time. Happy holidays. Woo. Okay.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. You too. Sorry. You broke up. You broke up at the end there. My fault.
Happy
Much
holidays.
love.
Yep.
Peace.
Happy holidays, y'all. Take care.
So, okay. What an incredible time.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted, before we go to recommendation corner and do that, I was telling Dylan before you got there that one of the things I'm so proud of about State of the Game and about what we've been able to do this year.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't, Spotify Wrapped and all that shit, I don't really care about a lot of that shit.
No.
But our fucking State of the Game episodes have been so dense. So fucking dense. Like, we had AJ Swade breaking down the mathematics of his flow. We had Def C talking about the placement of syllables. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We had technical discussion on this podcast, and neither of us know a goddamn thing about these.
No. See, I mean, and that's what I appreciated, because it's more about, you know, hearing craftsmen talk about their craft. You know, that's what gets me excited. Like,
right,
you know, and you can hear how passionate they are about it, and you know, you can tell that they don't get, you know, they go on places or they have interviews where they talk, you know, about the album and whatnot, but they don't really get to have a venue or an avenue to talk about the craft in the way that they do when they're on the show, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, we dig in. We dig in, and I love that as our spot, as our thing.
Yeah.
I think that's cool, and I can't wait to keep doing it, and the audience keeps expanding, and it's great. Recommendation corner, I just want to hit people. One of the things I think will be one of the first important releases of next year, which is To What End by Odyssey. Comes out January 20th, 2023. And I'm already very excited about it. It's got a single with Freeway on it, Ghetto to Meadow. Both singles are ill. Odyssey's an incredible producer and seems very locked in with this project. I think there's a video. It's real dope. Yeah, Odyssey is somebody you should not ignore when he's locked in. So this is, yeah. Do you have any recommendations?
No, I'm just looking forward to 2023, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I think we're in good shape, and yeah, yeah, we'll try and reload for next year and see what's going on. If you're an artist and you fuck with us, hit us with your shit.
Absolutely.
spiritedgoons@freemusicempire.com is the email. Send me your shit. I'll be here to listen.
What will tomorrow bring? What will tomorrow